How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar, and welcome to Near Mint Condition, home of collected editions. And today we brought back the Evergreen stream because, well, hell, it's been a minute since we've done an Evergreen stream, and I'm surrounded by some of my favorite people, and you'll see some new faces here. So I'm going to let each and every one of these folks introduce themselves and what channel they belong to or what channel they have. To my right is always Crisis. Having a crisis of keyboards earlier. You got it now? You're good?
Here. And of course, this would be a wonderful time for my internet to stop. So, here we go. You're good. You can find me on crushingcrisis.com, which is, of course, the home to many, many guides, including for what for a long time has been one of the top-ranked Spider-Man guides on the internet, as well as Crushing Crisis on YouTube. I've read every Spider-Man issue that has been released at least for the last 15 years, so I feel eminently qualified to debate with these very fine fellows what should be evergreen in a permanent sense for Peter Parker.
Okay. And to his right south of New Zealand is Australia.
South? That's that Kentucky education.
Look, all I know is when you look at the map, it's flat, and it's south of New Zealand. Anyway, OmniBeau.
Anyway, OmniBeau from Aussieverse. I like to think that we are an Australian Near Mint Condition affiliate. I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here today, Omar. Thank you to Crisis for putting up with my crap last night. Let's get down to business. Look, I have gone through many, many hard things in my life, but coming up with this list definitely makes the top of something incredibly hard to do.
Thank you all for having my back in the chat. Aaron, before Aaron tells you a little bit about himself, Aaron, I have to give a huge shout out. He used to help me a lot with the upcoming collected editions. Like, he would go through the DC and Marvel books, and we've been friends for a while. And it's really nice to finally have him on. So welcome aboard, Aaron.
Thanks for having me. Well, so y'all know me as Cobbs Web. If you've been following me on the OmniBeau Cafe and the Epic Collection Facebook group, I post about Spider-Man and Spider-Man affiliated stuff. I've been a reader of Spider-Man for over 20 years, ever since childhood. So I'm happy to be here, happy to get to meet a lot of these wonderful folks and just chat and get to talk about my favorite superhero. So, and yeah, Omar and I have been friends for about 8 years now. So It's been a long time.
Crazy.
Did you grow up watching the channel?
Lars.
I did, yes.
No, he grew up. Why did you have to mention that? We were doing so well. I hate you. Lars, who are you?
Yes, Lars Pearson, publisher and editor-in-chief of Mad Norwegian Press, formerly of Wizard Magazine. And yet you may have noticed that my trademark X-Men posters behind me, everything's in flux. I have moved house. And yeah. I'm trying. Well, no, they're still here. I'm not even sure what the vid casting wall is going to be. Okay, everything is crazy. So everything behind me has changed. However, I do want to assure all of you, I am now broadcasting from a table that I acquired because our local pagan cafe went out of business. This was the beating heart of my social life for 20 years, okay? It's terrible, but I was able to buy off them 3 two-tops that feature vaguely erotic lesbian tarot cards, okay? So, because
we're not even 5 minutes in. Go ahead.
Because the new joint was going to be selling family ice cream, and even though they were named Black Cat, they didn't think this would go with the decor. So I have bought them. So if you're feeling this extra burst of culture coming through the screen, that's probably why. And one of the tarot cards even looks like Fire from Justice League International, so it has a comic book connection.
Okay. Thank you for that, Lars. And to his right is DBC All-Star, who made a little cameo when we were talking about the Omnis that people should vote for. Steven, how are you, buddy?
Happy to be here. Howdy, y'all. DBZ All-Star, also known as Steve. I'm also your affirmation administrator for the OmniBeau Cafe. I got my start with Spider-Man and with Marvel Comics with the release of issue 60 of Spider-Man 1990 to 1998, smack dab in the middle of the old Clone Saga. So my philosophy with Spider-Man is, if I can start in the middle of that run, then I can make it through any run of Spider-Man.
That's a pretty smart philosophy. Thank you. And returning back to the channel is my buddy Sean from the Comics Pal. What's up, man?
Hey, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me, as always. I have loved Spider-Man since I was like 2 years old. My love affair with the character goes way, way back. And my new burgeoning love affair is with the life of Lars. I am always intrigued to hear about what is happening in Lars's life. Now I need to see this table. I would love to do a deep dive into the life of Lars. When is that show?
Sean, I worry this is an indictment that your own life is too boring and needs an injection of more interest. I mean, I'm pleased to be a culture vulture. Don't get me wrong, and full of adventure. But maybe you need more adventure in your life.
I don't disagree with that at all, and I think that I could learn from you, which is why I want to sit under the learning tree, Lars.
This is not where I thought the conversation would be going.
By the way, I took a picture. I took a picture of the tarot card that looks like fire because I thought maybe I'd send it to Omar so you could all see it. But I realized, unlike fire, she really does look like she has no clothes on. So I don't think Omar should share it with the channel.
Well, you can still send it to me for
you know what?
purposes.
Yes, I will send it for your own private enjoyment. Yes, absolutely right. Yes.
No, that's not what I said. I said research purposes.
Omar,
all right.
just a minute. Everybody needs a little injection of Lars in their life.
No, I do not. Okay. Curtis, introduce yourself for the love of God so we can keep going.
Okay. Well, my name is Curtis Finley from the Epic Marvel Podcast. My love of Spider-Man goes way back to when I got my first Spider-Man comic, which was Web of Spider-Man number 60, in which Spider-Man could shoot laser beams out of his eyes. And that was my introduction to Spider-Man. He was the coolest. And anyway, I still love him, even though he doesn't do that anymore.
No, he doesn't. Okay. So we are back with the Evergreens, and today we are talking about Spider-Man stories. So it's not Spider-Man Epic Collections, not Spider-Man trade paperbacks that already exist, and not Spider-Man Omnis. It is Spider-Man. However, Peter decided to throw a couple of other things in there as new rules. So I'm going to let Peter explain some of these rules.
All right, why don't you bring up our beautiful Spider-Man slides with our wonderful thumbnail from Dom of X.
I feel like these rules were written specifically for me in that email as well.
No.
No Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider.
None of the ones you like, Bo. You got to stick to the main dude. So, Omar, let's start explaining with the next slide here. We like to first start off by saying, what does evergreen mean? So in a world of collecting comic books, when you want something physically, you've got to get it onto your shelf. And the question becomes, has it been printed? And is it still in print? And in comic books, still in print doesn't mean that they are continuously printing it usually. Usually, you're looking for it distributed somewhere like Amazon or one of our many fine local comic book shops or comic shops online. But what if it were to be printed continuously? That would mean that it was evergreen, always in print. A great example of that is Watchmen by DC. You can always find a trade paperback of Watchmen as well as many other formats. So we will be arguing about what Spider-Man stories ought to have that distinction from Marvel, that they should be in print at all times in an accessible format. So let's keep going and now talk about why we're focused on stories. So you've seen us do this a few times already. We did it Daredevil, Superman, Fantastic Four, all great streams to rewind and check out. Very proud of them all. With Spider-Man, it's a little bit different. For those characters, we were kind of concerned there weren't enough omnibuses just to do omnibuses. With Spider-Man, it's kind of like he's just got so many stories. He's had multiple titles. It's been over 60 years now. We wanted to make sure that people could capture whole stories. And sometimes some Spider-Man stories extend past just one epic collection or across a breakpoint in multiple omnibuses or masterworks. So since we have some massive Spider-Man fans on the show today, we gave them free reign to make whatever book they wanted full of stories, however they wanted to define stories. Some people you'll find stuck with published books that they were perfectly happy with. Others have invented their own Spider-Man collections that they think should be evergreen. So let's just talk about the rules of the debate, and then we will get underway. So we have 3 picks each. Each one of us picked a story that comprises 3 to 16 issues in length. That could be an evergreen collection. The picks are based on any criteria you want: popularity, sales, quality, nostalgia, cool-ass covers. Whatever you thought was the reason that it should be evergreen, that is valid, at least to you in your soul. The question is, will all the other folks on the panel think that that is valid? We'll find out via 3 rounds of discussion. First, we'll each give a quick, emphasis, gentlemen, quick pitch of why we picked each of our 3 picks. Then we'll have a slightly lengthier and slightly more angsty debate. And then finally, we will vote yes or no, no maybes allowed, if the pick should be evergreen. And Omar, those are the rules.
Thank you for that. Two really quick things. Number one, I just got a picture of the Ace of Cups. Thank you so much for that, Lars. I don't see fire there, but I do see a naked lady. So
you don't see. It's
nice
a woman. It's a woman on.
Not all women
fire.
look alike. Like, not all women look like alike that are on fire.
On fire, and she's green.
Well, does she have green hair?
Yes.
Dude, this chick is blue. She's not green. Are you colorblind?
I think that's a trick of the photo.
Maybe I'm colorblind. Anyway, something Spider-Man related. Number 1,000 is One More Day. No kayfabe. I'll never jokingly say it's number 1. I wonder if One More Day made it into this list. We will see. And I collect Wizard and Toy Fair. I own almost all Toy Fair issues. I'm missing 32 of the 163 issues. Had everything after 102 meld to me as a kid.
You are devoted. Yeah.
Have you ever?
Well, I hear that Lars does supply autographs if you approach him.
I was going to say, I know that he has signed many an issue.
I reluctantly supply autographs, knowing that I don't pretend to actually be anybody important. But you know, if someone wants one,
you cannot deny the people what they want.
No, absolutely not. No, I would never deny someone one, but I would, I don't pretend to be anybody important.
Okay. All right. So shall we put our first contestant up, Peter?
Let's.
All right. Let's get ready to rumble. Hey, let the evergreen debate begin. Who is the first person up?
I know you can have an itchy trigger finger sometimes, Omar. I need a little buffer slide in there for you. Sometimes you get excited.
No, actually, you know what it is? I found out I just need a new all-in-one. Like it's just
brain, an all-in-one brain.
I do need a new brain. It's just so old that it's something I'm actually looking for. See what happened there? Like Lars just went full screen for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't do that.
You can see my beautiful skin.
But thank you for that, Lars.
Yes.
Take it away, Lars. What do we got here?
Well, now, of course, is when I start to experience buyer's regret, only that Peter and I went round and round in the last 12 hours or so as to whether I was going with Ultimate Spider-Man or Spider-Man Blue for various technical reasons I won't get into. And ultimately, I let Peter choose, which it shows the depths which my life has sunk, that I said, Peter, you decide, you be in charge. Is that really a good idea? So Peter went with Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, look, you want variety to this list, but I mean, there's an obvious winner here. With the Ultimate range, Marvel was like, what would Marvel be like if we started now? And at the time, and it was an Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimates were in a way huge successes. This is the very best entry point to Spider-Man in its 60-year history. Yes, Lee and Ditko deserve all due credit for forming the world, character, and everything else. But I mean, this improves on it. This is what you would want to give to a teenager. People have sometimes asked me, should I start my teenager with, Lee and Ditko back in the day? I'm like, God, no. Start them with Ultimate Spider-Man. It is the best access point ever. The other 2 picks, here's a dirty secret. I don't actually own that much Spider-Man. I own Spider-Verse, which didn't count. I have the Wizard anthology, and then Kraven's Last Hunt and Death of Gene DeWolf are all that I own. Kraven's Last Hunt, because it is basically in a category of one. To take this, fairly pedestrian Spider-Man villain you wouldn't have thought too hard about before this, and elevate him to this just. James DeMatteis writes this grand tapestry of life, death, love, hatred. All the classical themes are here. There's no Spider-Man story like it. I mean, there just isn't. And then Death of Jean DeWolf, I will just say, that's actually the Spider-Man story I personally find the most moving of all. That's the one that hits me the hardest. Spider-Man has other stories of tragedy. Gwen Stacy dies, Uncle Ben dies, and so on. But this one's very curious because Jean DeWolf isn't Spider-Man's family. She's not Spider-Man's girlfriend. She's just someone who's been present in his life. And what happens when she's gone? And his first reaction is actually, oh, Jean DeWolf died? Oh, really? I mean, it's actually not that overstated. And then as the story goes along, he just gets more and more emotionally invested because I think he starts to ponder what his life is going to be without that presence. I have people in real life who are going through that. Someone's dying who they don't actually know that well, but they're like, wait a minute, they've always been there. They've always been there in my life for decades. What happens when they're gone? This is one of Peter David's very finest stories. I think Peter needs to be in the list somewhere, and this one's just more cutting and memorable than Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, as good as that one is. I don't know if this one actually literally moved me to tears, but it seriously moved me. Yeah.
Okay. Curtis is up next.
Well, let's see here. So I have 3 picks, and the first one here on the list is a little bit on the controversial side because it is some people love it, some people hate it. I happen to love this run, Superior Spider-Man. It's the story of a dying Dr. Octopus in his last-ditch attempt to both save
Wait, Curtis, hold it. Spoilers for Superior Spider-Man. I have to warn people, like whenever we do Evergreen streams, just in case, we do have to talk about some spoilers. So
this is a story where something happens to some of the characters that changes their life forever. Anyway, this is,
you don't have to speak in code. I just said spoilers. That's got us covered. Go on.
This is the story of Dr. Octopus as Spider-Man. He calls himself the Superior Spider-Man because of his ego. And it is one of the best modern Spider-Man stories, I think, because a lot of people say Dan Slott doesn't get Spider-Man, but I disagree. From this story, he completely understands Spider-Man because the whole arc of Dr. Octopus is him trying to be Spider-Man his own way and failing miserably. And by the end of it, Dr. Octopus understands what it means to be Spider-Man, and it's fantastic. Now, this story, it spawns 2 Epic Collection-sized trade paperbacks. So to follow the rules of this stream, I need to take an approach that condenses it into one book. And I really like the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four abridged edition that they did for the Marvel Premier Classics line. And so I want to do something similar to this, taking out a lot of the B stories or irrelevant one-off stories or the story arcs that don't tie into the main story, condensing it into, I think, hopefully 15 or 16 issues or something like that. So I think if you can get the first 2 story arcs, which is 1 to 10, plus the final story arc, 27 to 31, plus relevant subplot pages from the rest of the issues, then you can get a good, compact, abridged version of this story, and I think it would be really good reading. My second one here is Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Again, having to do an abridged version because Steve Ditko was on the title for, 32 issues or something like that. And quite frankly, I'm hot and cold about a lot of Steve Ditko's stuff. I know that may be sacrilegious to say, but I'm not his biggest fan. However, he does have some fantastic stuff in this run. So I've picked out... let me see here. I picked out all of the first appearances of his major villains that lead up to the Sinister Six annual #1, Plus, I've got my favorite story arc in here, which is I can't even remember now. Is it 13 or 14, which is the Dr. Octopus story, unmasking Spider-Man for the first time, and then 32 and 33, another Doc Ock story, the famous one where he gets trapped under a pile of rubble. And that, I think, would get us to one really awesome Stan Lee and Steve Ditko collection that kind of goes through his whole run here. Spider-Man Blue, one of my favorite stories of Spider-Man, telling kind of weaving a tale between issues about love and loss as he reflects on the anniversary of the death of someone he loved dearly. And Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb create this beautiful, beautiful world for Peter to live in that harkens back to the old Stan Lee and John Romita era. For this collection that I'm proposing here, not just Spider-Man Blue, but also Amazing Spider-Man 39 to 45 plus 47 to 49, which are the issues where Spider-Man Blue takes place, the original Stan Lee and John Romita issues. So this collection kind of kills two birds with one stone, because we get the awesome Spider-Man Blue, plus we have a great selection of Spider-Man in his best period, which my favorite period at least, which is the Romita years. So I think, and that gets us up to 16 issues. So there's my pitch for these three books.
And I'm on mute, of course. OmniBeau, go ahead. Take it, buddy. No, wait. No, Sean. Sorry, you can't read.
I think, did you skip one?
I think you may have skipped OmniBeau.
I did. I skipped Beau. Okay. I thought it was OmniBeau. All right, OmniBeau. This is you, buddy.
All righty. So look, I went through so many different stories, man. And this I spent like about 4 hours trying to work out what 3 stories I could come up with. And it was incredibly hard. But we've got here Craven's Hunt the Child Within. I reckon both of these stories combined would make one fantastic story. Obviously, we all know Craven's Last Hunt being an amazing J.M. DeMatteis story, but to follow that up it's not really a sequel, but it is a follow-up to it. It's Peter Parker and the depths of his psyche after being buried alive and having to deal with Vermin and Harry Osborn. Not only that, but with the child within, Peter is now incredibly bitter and his enemies just keep coming back. And for the first time, Peter is questioning his own morals on just putting bad guys away in jail and then them coming out again. Is it really the best use of his superpower abilities? Peter's also very sarcastic towards Dr. Kafka and the way that she sees Vermin. She sees, hence the title, The Child Within, and Peter just doesn't care. Peter is just too emotionally scarred from Craven, where he just doesn't have that inner ability to see the goodness in people that everybody knows he has that power for. He's fighting that ugliness inside of him and the ugliness that the world has shown him. And he's taking it out on Vermin, which is not really fair on that character. And Peter doesn't realize that. In fact, Peter gets so dark after here that he even starts convincing himself that he needs to kill Vermin. And Peter just starts losing himself. On top of that, it's more an in-depth psychological story about all 3 men, Peter Parker, Vermin, and Harry Osborn, and their guilt and their sins that they all have gotten from their fathers, and especially in Harry's case, is continuing it down to his son. Where does a father's love come from? Where does a father's morals come from? And where do you change your own morals from what you've been taught? So I think this is a beautiful characterization of Peter Parker and him trying to go back to that light after being put in the dark for so damn long. And it also shows why J.M. DeMatteis is, in my opinion, probably the best Spider-Man writer of all time. Next up, we have Maximum Carnage, which everybody knows this storyline. The reason why I put this one in here is because I was a young little pup when I read this one, and I didn't really know that much about the Marvel Universe or Spider-Man as a whole. And even though it has multiple characters that, you know, if you are new to comics, you might find a little confusing. Who is this person? Who is that person? I remember not knowing any of these characters either, and I found myself being very easily sucked into this world of Spider-Man, the world of Marvel, and it made me want to read more about these other characters. The highlight of Maximum Carnage for me personally that I don't think gets really talked about much. Again, I love these moments when Peter Parker really questions his own morality, and there is a moment in Maximum Carnage where he has just had enough and he is sick to death of trying to do the good thing, and he thinks to himself, you know what, I think I need to stop, and I just need to go beat the crap out of Cletus Cassidy. And because of Captain America, he then finds himself going back onto the right side of the light. So a little similar to the motivations in Craven's Last Hunt and Child Within, but that's what really makes me love Peter Parker. And if you thought for 1 second that I was not going to have some sort of clone saga in my top 3, well, you are very mistaken. I have decided to create my own book called Blood Brothers, which really defines the love and loyalty between Peter Parker and Ben Reilly, as well as Peter Parker to himself. Because in here, you have the death of Aunt May, you have Peter Parker losing his humanity, and again, his struggle with his identity. It introduces you to new characters like Judas Traveler and many, many more. Kane becomes a mystery contender and shows dual sides to his personality and motivations, all showing 3 different sides of Peter Parker through Peter Parker, Ben Reilly, and Kane. Peter Parker also refuses to allow anybody to guilt trip his life anymore, and he's had enough of it. Mary Jane and Peter also lose their baby in this storyline that nobody likes to speak about. Peter Parker moves away, Ben takes over for a little bit, and at the end you have Revelations, which is the death of Ben Reilly. So if you want to read the Clone Saga without reading 4 omnibuses, this is my perfect way to be reading it, because it collects the whole power and responsibility, the trial of Peter Parker, the death of Aunt May, and the end Revelations, baby.
Okay. Next up is Sean from the Comic Pals. Take it away, Sean.
All right. Here we go. You guys know I love to come prepared for these, and Ultimate Spider-Man is up first, and I'm going to lead with the headline. Ultimate Spider-Man number 1 through 13 is the best definitive origin for Spider-Man. The original is just too short. Stan the Man Lee said it himself that he wished he'd had more than 11 pages to tell the original story. Brian Michael Bendis took those words and ran with them, letting the origin of Spider-Man unfold over the course of several issues, with Peter not even donning the titular costume until 5 issues deep. It functions so well as an origin and keeps the core tenets of Spider-Man so close to its heart that it being the story of the Ultimate Spider-Man and not mainline doesn't matter. You could literally hand this to any person and they will understand the origin of Spider-Man and not consider the fact that this isn't 616. It doesn't factor in to this story. It's got so many of Peter Parker's friends and foes. It teaches you everything you need to know to understand Spider-Man, and I think you can hand it to anyone walking the planet and they will enjoy it. It still holds up today too. Bendis and Bagley are an incredible creative team, and I don't know if this will ever be beat. Next up, The Gauntlet. What's a good hero without some villains to punch? Spider-Man has no shortage of those. In fact, he has arguably the greatest rogues gallery in all of media. That said, we've seen Spider-Man trounce his foes so many times, it become old hat by the late 2000s. Enter The Gauntlet, a story from the post-Brand New Day era of Spider Comics, where the veritable who's who of creators tackle Spider-Man's most sinister foes, but with a twist. Their powers are being upgraded and their origins redefined. Fans of Spider-Man know Sinister Six members like Electro, Sandman, Lizard, and Mysterio, meaning they'll easily recognize the villains in this collection. But what they'll also be getting is some of the best stories ever told with them. Mark Waid and Paul Azaceta electrify in their electro-focused Power to the People story, while Sandman takes center stage in Kimia's Castle, a story sure to water up those dry eyes of yours. And of course, the best story of the bunch is the Lizard-led Shed arc that stands to this day as the best Lizard story ever told. The group of creators involved in this is maybe one of the best rosters to ever work on Spider-Man, telling some of the best stories told in the modern era of Spider-Man. There are a lot of fans who say that nothing good came after One More Day. I disagree with that for a ton of reasons, and chief among them is one of the earliest post-One More Day entries, The Gauntlet. It must be read by all Spider-Man fans, making this, to me, a shoo-in for Evergreen. Finally, Spider-Man Life Story. One of the biggest complaints lobbed at the medium of comics is their never-ending nature. The story of Peter Parker will never really end, nor should it. Future generations should have the chance to love him and enjoy his adventures in their time, just as we have. But for those who need a beginning, middle, and most importantly, end to their stories, Spider-Man Life Story presents an enthralling, beautiful, and heartbreaking look at the life of Peter Parker. From the moment he's bitten by the spider to his last breath and everything in between, Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley walk us through the full life and times of Spider-Man. It's compact, it's poignant, and requires little foreknowledge of the reader to enjoy, making it perfect for new readers and old ones alike.
Thank you so much for that, Sean. Steven is up. Go ahead, Steve, take it away.
All right, so Bo and I were thinking somewhat along the same lines with these.
Did we just become best friends?
A little bit of a cheat for those that have been paying attention, because we did just get this beautiful JD Mateus JMD Mateus omnibus, but we don't need all of that wonderful artwork and emotion to get the crux of what makes Peter Parker Spider-Man. This would just be called Spectacular Spider-Man: The Child Within by J.M. DeMatteis, and it would collect Spectacular Spider-Man, the original 1976 to 1998 series, 178 through 184, which is the main story of The Child Within. Spider-Man dealing with the aftermath of Kraven's Last Hunt, coming to blows with Vermin, and Harry dealing with his own mental health issues and whether or not the disease that his father passed on to him will be passed on to his child, as well as the choice he must make when he comes to that realization. To close it out, we have the Death of Vermin story, which begins in issue 194 of that same series, leads into a stellar crossover with Omar's favorite team, the X-Men, and closes out with issue 200 that unfortunately ends with a passing of an important supporting cast member. Now, I could have gone with the cover for issue 200 for this, but I think the cover I selected really relays the emotion and action going on in this book. Following that up, again, a lot of this material has been collected in the J. Michael Straczynski collections, from Ultimate Collections to the current modern Epic collections, the Omnis. But how do you really define Peter Parker coming home? Not just to the character of Spider-Man, but coming home to himself. And I really thought that Straczynski defined Peter well enough with all the spider totem material that he presents as not just a hero, but as a character, that this deserves to be cut apart to just hit those emotional beats. With that being said, it would collect the first arc from issue 30 up through 37, collects the controversial 9/11 issue with Dr. Doom in it. Still like the issues 50 through 54, which has a reunion between Peter and one of his romantic interests after a long separation, as well as a fun mafia-based story with a twist. It also helps seal off the story with issues 57 and 58 before the renumbering into legacy numbering with issue 500. Doctor Strange has a mission for Spider-Man, and it leads to yet another tear-filled and heartfelt reunion. For this one, I picked the cover to issue 50 because it's bombastic enough, and it really has Peter webbing toward you as if he's heading home. For my third choice, I have what I'm calling Spider-Man Brothers in Arms. Bo and I love Ben Reilly, and I would have been remiss if I hadn't found some way to work this character into my list. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, what was my first entry point into Spider-Man and Marvel Comics? Well, that would be Spider-Man, the 1990 to 1998 series, issue 60, part 3 of the 4-part The Trial of Peter Parker. So we start off with the beginning of that crossover event in Web of Spider-Man 126. It continues in Amazing Spider-Man 403, leads into Spider-Man issue 60, and concludes in a rather controversial manner in multiple instances. There's a Hank Pym moment that I still, to this day, do not agree with in this issue in Spectacular Spider-Man 226. We skip all of Maximum Clonage because I cannot stand that story, and move on to Exiled, which deals with Peter recovering from the events of his trial, of having to redefine himself and figure out if he was still a human being during the events of Maximum Clonage, and Ben Reilly going on a trip to decide if he really needs to be in Peter's life, and concluding with Peter's decision to be a bigger person and move on with Mary Jane, allowing Ben to be the primary Spider-Man character in the book. As after this, spoilers for a 30-plus-year-old story, the Spider-Man books go on hiatus for about 2.5 months, with Scarlet Spider taking the lead before Ben Reilly takes over as the main Spider-Man character, with Dan Jurgens relaunching Web of as Sensational Spider-Man. For this cover, I picked the cover to Spectacular Spider-Man 229, which closes out the title for 2.5 months. But I almost went with the cover to the final issue of Web of Spider-Man 129 for irony, which closes out the Time Bomb 2-parter, where Peter Parker as Spider-Man is actually holding Ben Reilly as the Scarlet Spider overhead and is ready to toss him into the abyss as the New Warriors look on in horror. Now we might have a hopeful cover for this one.
Oh my God, I almost voted these Clone Saga garbage books out, but you had me at New Warriors.
I have the New Warriors, brother.
This is a conflict of interest now. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. And next up is none other than Peter Crisis.
So look, folks, you've heard me appear on this show and argue from the heart for some properties that I really, really love. And I do love a lot of Spider-Man. But you know what? Spider-Man is synonymous with me, synonymous with capitalism, baby. He's been the face of Marvel Comics ever since his inception. And so I wanted to pick stories that actually have a reason to be evergreen, because the people out there already want to read this stuff because it's got characters, heroes, villains, storylines that they've seen echoed across a bunch of other media. So let's talk about why my 3 picks are going to be in the final list. The first one is Death of the Stacys. And I went issue by issue through this because for those not in the know, there are 2 big Stacy storylines early in Amazing Spider-Man, relatively early in the first 120 issues. First is the death of Captain Stacy, and then of course is the famous death of Gwen Stacy. And we have had those collected in a trade called The Death of the Stacys before, but what that leaves out is a lot of connecting tissue that actually makes the whole situation more tragic and both gives more character to Gwen as the tragic heroine of the story as well as to the main villains of the piece. So if we start just before the advent of the death of Captain Stacy, we get a little bit extra background with Doc Ock and Green Goblin who factor into this whole story. And then after the death of Captain Stacy, what's left out of that previous collection that's quite old and is split across multiple epic collections is that Gwen Stacy moves to London. And so Spider-Man takes a trip abroad, and some issues which are some really fun Spider-Man issues that I really enjoy, and again advances that Green Goblin story. And so I continued to pick up all of the Green Goblin and Doc Ock threads as we go to make sure that they would really pay off as we come to the major climax of Gwen Stacy's actual death. Of course, one of the most famous moments that has been echoed across many different forms of media. So altogether, that is Amazing Spider-Man 87, 88 through 92, 95 through 98, 103 and 104, and 121 through 123. So we pretty much pick up every major Gwen issue along the way, so you get a full story with her with a fully realized character instead of just Spider-Man's dead girlfriend. The next one that I picked, I admire the great taste of Sean, and so it comes as no surprise to me that we have one of the same picks as each other. I think I differed from his map by one issue, but I'm willing to defer to him because his taste in many cases is better than mine. But the pick remains the same, which is the Gauntlet. Now,
up to get votes?
No, I just love Sean. It's authentic.
Okay.
So, the thing about the Gauntlet, I mean, Sean said it so well, so I'll have to try to differentiate a little bit. I think Spider-Man is very much defined by his villains, and I think what a lot of Spider-Man villain stories lack is they don't feel central to the villain. It's like the villain, but they're doing something because they want to have a bank heist. They're a villain, they're doing something, and Spider-Man thwarts them. This is so pure because the whole setup of it is the villains are just there to fight Spider-Man, or they're just there for something that is so critical to their own identity. So it feels like each one of the stories is essential. Now, there are a lot of different ways you can map this, and I think Sean left out the 3 Juggernaut stories, which I completely appreciate because Juggernaut is not a main Spider-Man villain necessarily. I left them in because I just think it's a really good one, but there are some other issues that we could quibble about here. Altogether, the Gauntlet accounts for, I think, between 21 and 23 issues, and we had to get it down to 15 or 16 issues depending on the page length. Now, some of you might say, oh, well, the Grim Hunt comes after the Gauntlet, and it kind of puts an exclamation point on it, but I would reply to you and say, look, not every comic collection has to have every single plot thread of everything. The Gauntlet is its own payoff because it has all of these great 1 to 3 issue villain stories that just wrap up, and they're also part of the longer Gauntlet. This is probably my favorite post-2000 Spider-Man story to read and reread and go back and look at the art and then reread again. I'm so happy we're about to get it in Omnibus, but the Omnibus has a lot of other stuff that comes after this, some of which is not great. I think this should be an evergreen collection. Hey, Lance, one of my favorite folks to chat with on streams. Finally, I have Spider-Verse, and no, Lars, it's not cheating because I only have the Peter Parker portions of Spider-Verse. I have the 2 lead-in issues from Amazing Spider-Man 2014 7 and 8, where he teams up with Ms. Marvel, another character that is widely known outside of comics at this point. And then we have the core of his issues of Spider-Verse, the 2 actual Spider-Verse bookendy issues, and then the 2 added issues of Superior Spider-Man as well. You don't need the Spider-Woman tie-ins. You don't need Spider-Verse team-up. They do not advance the main plot of this in necessary ways. Look, Spider-Verse is what in mixed media put Miles on the map and let everybody outside of the comic book world know that Miles is Spider-Man, but this is not a Miles show. It's a Peter Parker show. And I think it's a great Peter Parker story because it shows that his power and responsibility, A, is echoed across all of the spiders in all of the multiverse in very interesting ways, but B, it puts Peter in the position of kind of being the team captain, and we don't get to see that a lot. He joins the Avengers, he joins the Fantastic Four, but here's a story where, like, it's one of Peter's deadliest, scariest villains with the biggest scope, and Peter's gotta be in charge of saving not just himself, not just Aunt May, not just Mary Jane, but all of the spiders across all of the multiverse. That's one of the biggest stories you can put Peter in, and even though it is wildly different than the Spider-Verse movies, I think anybody who's seen the Spider-Verse movies who wants a really cool Spider-Man story with really great art is going to pick up this book and be absolutely satisfied, and this gets all the core of it within our issue range. So look, I think these are 3 potential big sellers. I think they all have elements that everybody who's seen any kind of Spider-Man media would know, and that's why they're my 3 evergreens picks for Spider-Man.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Crisis. Aaron, take it away, buddy.
All right. Well, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. So we have 3 picks right here. The first one I have is Indomitable Will. So I am a fan of both Spider-Man and Green Lantern. And in my mind, if Spider-Man were to be any type of Lantern Corps member, it would be a Green Lantern because he has the strongest will out of everybody. And that makes the most sense to me because of these stories right here. So Amazing Spider-Man 229 to 230, of course, is Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut, one of my all-time favorite stories, written by Roger Stern, drawn by John Romita Jr. soon to be in the upcoming Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut Epic Collection, by the way. And obviously, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, the 1999 series, 30 to 32, is another one of my favorite stories called 300. It goes by a few different names, 300, One Small Break, that type of deal. Written by the amazing Paul Jenkins, drawn by Mark Buckingham. So good. And of course, Amazing Spider-Man 30 to 35, which is Coming Home, written by J. Michael Straczynski and drawn by John Romita Jr. Obviously, you can see a connected thread there. The reason why I have these three stories here into one considerable trade paperback is because these three stories each show Spider-Man's never give up attitude. These are the stories that show that up against impossible odds, like with Juggernaut or with Morlun or with Fusion, he does not back down. He does not give up. He always, always, always finds a way to win. And I think that's what makes Spider-Man such a good character. Also, shout out to Peter. I love the cover that you chose for this because this is one of my favorite Spider-Man covers of all time. So
Yeah.
Cover. And Humberto Ramos, one of my favorite Spider-Man artists of all time. Side note. My second pick initially was not going to be my second pick. And I'll tell you why. Because I initially had it to where it was only collecting the Peter David issues of Spectacular Spider-Man. But in the back of my mind, I know how these things go. And I know how comic readers are, especially omnibus readers. They want everything, every issue. So I decided, okay, let me map a book that is also a follow-up to the Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man Masterworks, with whatchamacallit, that ended at issue 100 of Spectacular Spider-Man. And let me get a book that follows directly from that. So this book is basically Peter David's entry level into Spider-Man and comic book writing. And I wanted something that really honors him, especially since we lost him this year. And that still stings a little bit. It still stings. But we lost him, and I wanted something that really would honor him because I would hope Marvel would do it eventually. Especially because Spider-Man was his entry point. That was his journey. He was working in sales beforehand, and he was approached by Christopher Priest or Jim Owsley at the time. And of course, the main story in this book would be the death of Jean DeWolf, which we've already talked about. And obviously, with the death of Jean DeWolf, that to me just shows something that we don't typically see in Spider-Man, which is Spider-Man in a darker light, something that was more like a more difficult topic to handle for Spider-Man, for Peter. And I think that is just, when I read it, it was just such an eye-opener that I was just like, wow, this has to be this has to be in the Evergreen stream somehow. And of course, like I said, no issue left behind. So I included every issue, even the ones not written by Peter David, that all have the same type of feel to them, which was getting more darker with a character that typically we see in the lighter aspect. Also, side note, there is a issue in here and a plot point where Peter goes up against a criminal Santa Claus. So if we don't vote for that, I don't know what else we're for. My last pick is Brand New Day, Year One. So this one kind of goes back to what Peter was saying about capitalism. What does Marvel want? Synergy. Synergy, synergy, synergy. That's what they want. So obviously, if they wanted to get a book out there that would really lean into the synergy of this character, it would be releasing Brand New Day, the first full year of Brand New Day, in a way that would make it accessible and applicable to the movie and to the comic book readers. So what here I have literally just that, the first full year of Brand New Day. I almost put 559 to 561, but there wasn't enough room. So I decided to put 546, which is the start of Brand New Day, to 558, which gets us to the end of the first year, where every writer in Spider-Man Brain Trust has had their year or had their time on the book. So Dan Slott wrote his arc, Mark Guggenheim wrote his arc, Zeb Wells, then Bob Gale. And so with this, it literally is just year one. So it would be an accessible trade paperback you could have, put it out to comic book stores. They could push it out to people, and there it goes. I mean, I just think that would be a really nice way to kind of give someone something without having to jump into a mega epic. Whether it be an epic collection or even the omnibus that is coming out, or that's already out. So these are just my picks. I hope we vote for them. I decided to go for them a little bit more outside the box. Had I known that we could have voted for previous release stories, I would have probably voted for or made some cases for other stuff. But that's not even to say that these are bad. These are good. So looking forward to seeing what we vote for.
Thank you, Aaron. Now it's my turn. Last but certainly not least is Omar from Near Mint Condition. Peter, we need to talk about the cover choices you went with here. Okay, the very first
Not like
one.
I picked 3 of the most iconic covers ever from Spider-Man.
How did you not go with Todd McFarlane on the Amazing Spot? Anyway, you know what? Doesn't matter. We'll talk about that later.
Basic titles too.
So, I wanted to do something different. Like anytime we do these evergreen streams, it always feels like there's some safe bets that will make it in there. It's usually basic bitches like Lars that probably pick them, and I can always count on Lars to pick the choices that I know will make it in. So thank you for that, Lars.
Well, I'm just like the Emperor Nero. I'm giving the people what they want.
Right. Yes.
How's your fiddling?
Me, I wanted to do something a little different, and I was like, Spider-Man has a great rogue gallery, so let's work in some of my favorite stories and favorite writers into this rogue gallery. So I went with the first one was the Hobgoblin story. That's a lot of Uncle Raj stories in there with John Romita Jr. But I cheated with one issue. I had to throw the kid that collects Spider-Man in there. It has no connection to the Hobgoblin story, but it's just such a good story. And really shows you the power of Roger Stern on Spider-Man. And it's a good entry point. It's one that you don't need to read a lot of Spider-Man beforehand. And the next one is the Sinister. I even included the Hobgoblin Lives because, as most of us know, that read Roger Stern's run in Spider-Man, he left the book because they had a difference of opinion between him and the editorial staff, and the identity of the Hobgoblin is not revealed until later on, and then Tom DeFalco took over, and he had his own ideas. But the true identity and the true reveal doesn't happen until the little miniseries, The Hobgoblin Lives, which is written by Roger Stern when he comes back to Spider-Man. I thought that was really cool, so I feel like it needs to be in there. The Sinister Six, I feel like, is a great rogue mashup. And I have to throw of course, their first appearance in with the first annual, but I really love the Return of the Sinister Six, and the Revenge of the Sinister Six is even better to me. I love how ridiculous Eric Larson gets, because Return is written by David Michelinie and drawn by Eric Larson. By the way, that cover is solid. I do like that cover. That's I think Simonson actually inks this Larson cover. But the Revenge is when Larson is writing it, and it is just so stupid. That's where we get like the cyborg Spider-Man. Deathlock joins in the fight. This poor man's Punisher joins the fight solo, and it's against Sinister Six. Finally, we get Doc Ock with his adamantium arms, and it's just a big fight between them and Spider-Man and all these 90s characters like Ghost Rider, like Darkhawk, like Deathlock. I love it, man. And the next one is Venom. To me, I think, for a stupid idea of a costume that comes to life, Venom is such a cool story. Especially this Venom during this era. This is before the whole Lethal Protector era. This is Venom wants to eat Spider-Man's brains. Venom is not afraid to kill. And, you've got some killer artwork in there from Todd McFarlane and then Eric Larson as like some of the early stuff of just Venom stories. I didn't want to add anything from like the Alien costume saga in there. I just wanted to jump straight to Venom because I think it has such like energy that it doesn't really need the prelude of like, oh, the costume's alive and it leaves Peter Parker and it wants to take over Peter Parker and then it bonds with Eddie Brock. No, I think issue 300 and maybe those previous pages from 298 and 299, I think those are good enough. So yeah, Venom, which is why I'm wearing my Venom shirt for Phil Owens. Is he here? I hope he is.
Yes.
And that is my 3 picks. So we are about to debate. Now, this is the fun part of this stream where we talk and we fight amongst each other. Nothing but love, of course, and respect for all these people. But some of them are hella wrong. We're going to find out in a minute.
Uh-oh. Shots fired.
It's good of you to magnanimously take pity on so many of us. Yeah.
So, yeah, let me get this added back in here, and we can start debating. Everybody, by the way, you all had some amazing picks. Most of you.
Yeah.
All right, Lars.
I'm here.
Yes. Although your Jean DeWolf might be a no because of Aaron's book. Kind of like Aaron's book a little bit more. The Peter David
I was going to say the same thing as well. I like the fact that it's a little bit more comprehensive as a Peter David collection that includes this story. I mean, there's something to be said, though, about having a standalone story where this is the selling point, the title of it, because the title is well known as a classic Spider-Man story. But I wonder if we could brand the Peter David one just with the death of Jean DeWolf.
Well, his actually isn't more comprehensive, but I'll get to that later.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
wow. But is the name to me like the death of Jean DeWolf? When I read it as a trade paperback. I think it was in the 80s. I had no idea who that character was. I think maybe Peter David has a stronger selling point than Jean DeWolf as a title. Like if you're Spider-Man by Peter David. Because even people that don't read comics may recognize the name from like his books or his TV shows. I don't know. That's just an idea. But everything. I mean, honestly, like I knew Ultimate Spider-Man would make it, and there's no way we don't vote for that. I don't like the story, but I do respect what it did and how many people it brought into comic books, and how many people stayed in comic books because of Ultimate Spider-Man. And there's a reason why there are modern era epic collections and omnis of that. So yeah, that's gonna be a yes. And Kraven's Last Hunt, I mean, probably the greatest Spider-Man story. I knew somebody would bring. I don't know. I remember one time doing an Evergreen stream. I thought somebody was gonna bring. I think it was the Fantastic Four one, maybe I can't remember. And I was like, how did nobody pick that story? I was so mad. But so I'm glad you brought it. And yeah, the only one that's a maybe right now is the death of Jean DeWolf, even though it's a great story.
I'm curious how mine's not comprehensive, though. I mean, are we going to talk about that, or are we going to wait?
Well, we'll get to that when we get to yours, but I do question the mapping on yours. With all
okay. Anybody else got things to add? Wow, question the mapping.
I don't think the title of The Death of Jean DeWolf, even though it is a great story, because that and Ultimate Spider-Man I was considering on my lists as well, but just compared to all the other stories, I don't think it is probably a winner.
I think the story has to be included somewhere in our Evergreen list, but I don't know that the naming convention here works. I loved what just flashed on screen, the Sin Eater saga.
Yeah,
I like the idea of the Peter David saga.
It could be renamed.
Certainly. However that works, but I think these issues must be included.
Okay. Steven, do you have any thoughts on Lars' list?
I like it. I agree that the death is missing one or two things, but I think it's a wonderful classic story about Peter Parker's struggle dealing with a real life issue that many of us have had to deal with, where someone who's important but is kind of on the periphery passes away, and you have this realization just how paramount in terms of importance they were in your life. I don't have any complaints about that storyline being included, but I do feel that there needs to be a little bit more expansion for it. The other two are beyond fantastic. I think with several people having made the same choice, we might already have our, no pun intended, ultimate Spider-Man choice in here somewhere.
I do hope that Peter comes in and goes, man, these choices are awful. But I think Peter likes it. All right, Peter, thoughts on Lars's choices?
I enjoy being able to vote for all three of Lars's choices. I don't know if that's going to be possible today because I have conflicts about each of them, but I also appreciate why he chose each of them. Ultimate Spider-Man, look, I just don't care for Ultimate Spider-Man. It's not my favorite. I don't like Bendis. I don't like Bagley. I don't like Ultimate Universe. It's just not my deal. But I do think Lars pitched it perfectly, which is like, yeah, it's wringing every drop out of that origin story that just does not get its due in actual continuity, to the degree that, like, is it really a problem if you read this origin story and then read a bunch of Marvel 616 stuff? I mean, it's not the same universe, but it just feels like the expanded edition of the origin. And so for that reason, I kind of like it more than any other version of the origin story to include. I actually am on the borderline where I think maybe is Kraven's Last Hunt just better as its own 6 issues rather than with The Child Within the Tree, but we'll get to that when we talk to Beau. And whereas I'm kind of on the opposite side with the death of Jean DeWolf, I joked with Lars when he gave me his picks. I said, it's such an important story that children need to be educated, because I think whenever you have a character name in a title, we've covered this. If you don't recognize the character name, you think, is this essential? Ultimately, maybe Aaron's version of that one is better. So these are ones that I'm kind of, look, everybody should read these. I think if we were talking about the top 20 Spider-Man stories, they would all be in the top 20. I don't know if these versions of them are all in my top 10.
Okay. I like those controversial thoughts from Crisis. Aaron, go ahead. Take it away. You did notice the way that Lars worded that little remark about your mapping, huh? Like, you got something to say about Lars? I'm sorry, his choices, not Lars personally, his choices.
Well, either way, really. I mean,
Well, either way, I love all three of these stories, so I mean, I'm not against them. I guess for Ultimate Spider-Man, I'm wondering if that it's too much of a gateway, if that makes sense. Like, basically, somebody's gonna read Ultimate Spider-Man 1 to 13, and they're going to be like, okay, what's next? And then you're going to Phil. Sorry, I just saw Phil's quote. And by the way, I love Bendis and Bagley, and I love Ultimate Spider-Man, so this was my gateway. And speaking of that, it got me into reading more Ultimate Spider-Man, which is fine, but if we're talking about if this is going to lead somebody to 616, it might not do that.
Well, just to be clear, all Peter Parker was on the table. Somebody could have brought all alternate universe Peter Parker as long as it was Peter Parker. So I just want to say that while it might be one of your personal guidelines, one of the rules of the show is not that it had to be 616, just for everybody watching out there.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, then, yeah, I'm fine with it. So after all that, I know. Kraven's Last Hunt, I like the 6-issue trade. I just wish that but I like the other idea better. I can't remember who it was who had, I think it was Steven, who had The Child Within included. I like that better because
that was me, and
Oh, I'm sorry. OmniBeau, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry to interrupt you, but I just think all three of these are too small. I mean, you've given an opportunity to have 15 issues.
You're that, Lars. Too small.
Too small. You need them.
I've never been called that before.
15 issues. Chunk it up.
Well, I don't think that's a good idea, but we'll get to that later.
Maddie, is Elliot on your account? Because that seems like an Elliot joke and not a Maddie joke, but good one regardless.
And so,
anything else before we move on to the next person about Lars's choices from anyone other than Lars? No. Okay. So summarize, Lars. Too small. We're gonna move on to the next person, which is Curtis.
Again, it's never been a problem before now.
Great. You had your chance, Lars. We moved on to Curtis. Curtis, I love your choices. The only problem I have is that Superior Spider-Man. I think I would have been okay with just 1 through 13 or 1 through 10. I think putting the subplot pages from 11 through 26, you're going to have to summarize a lot, man. I think actually Superior Spider-Man is a fun book, and that might get my vote. I love the fact that you put in
my rebuttal. Hold on, my rebuttal to that though. Here, hold on a second. Is that the major learning from Doc Ock comes later on, not in those first 10 issues. First 10 issues, he's still his old, egocentric self. You got to have the later issues in order to get the full story arc.
But do you need the full story arc?
That was my pitch, though. That was my pitch. The pitch was Doc Ock he learns to be Spider-Man, and if you want to get that whole character arc, you can't just have just the beginning. That's only Act 1 of the movie.
Okay, I see.
You need issues 698 to 700 of Amazing as well.
Yeah, I mean that was the struggle there. I had limited page numbers. I would love to include that, but I opted not to because of our page count restriction.
I'm okay with starting with issue number 1. I think it does a really good job of I am the superior Spider-Man. I'm so much better than Peter Parker. Does it have the issue in here where it's Peter Parker and he can see all of Octavia's memories, and it's him and Aunt May's honeymoon?
I like how that's where your mind always goes.
That dude, I don't know if a comic book has ever made me laugh harder.
If you remember nothing else from that story, you remember that.
That would be my cover. God damn it. That would be my
those
cover.
Irrelevant subplot pages.
That's 699. Yeah.
Although that is akin to a moment where my mother was threatening to get remarried, and she did corner my sister in the kitchen and show her the lingerie that she intended to wear in her wedding night. And my sister was like, "Oh, what has been seen cannot be unseen." So I do understand where you're coming from with that one.
I love.
Well, look, if I can retittle Omar's retittle to Curtis's rebuttal, I just think that these books don't have to be the perfect everything book. They're the book that's going to be evergreen to sell the most to people. And Superior Spider-Man, it's 31 issues, and honestly, I mean, I love it. I love all of Superior Spider-Man. Everybody, if you've never read it before, it's worth reading. It's definitely a great binge. But it's a little doughy in the middle. It's got a little Pillsbury Doughboy whoo in the middle of it, where it's just a little soft. And I think that there's nothing wrong with just having the big hit from the beginning and then resolving it, and people can go buy an omnibus if they like it that much. I don't know. When it comes to Spider-Man, what I really realized is, at first, I questioned if we should do this kind of mixy-matchy format for it, but more so than X-Men, more so than Batman, any other format we did with Spider-Man, it kind of does benefit when you pick and choose the big hits. And I just think Curtis did it right. I think this is actually a really good read.
Maybe. Are we going in order, or are we just throwing comments out?
Apparently not.
Okay, because I'm happy to wait my turn, but...
You wait your damn turn, Lars.
Okay,
Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
Well, hold on, Omar. I interrupted you before you got. Do you have any comments about the other two collections?
That's right. You did interrupt me. That's strike 2 for Curtis. I really like your Amazing Spider-Man by Lee and Ditko. I think that's a really good choice. It's got some of the best stories in there. This has been my destiny. And honestly, it's got a really good origin story. I don't have a problem with a one issue origin story. It doesn't have to be like Ultimate Spider-Man. And Spider-Man Blue is beautiful. And I love that you added the issues that Jeff Loeb worked off of. Very nice touch. Here's the question. How would you map that though? Really quick, Curtis, go.
I would just do all of the Romita stuff as supplemental at the very end because
hell no, you're fired. Step into my office.
No. The pacing of the 6 issues of Spider-Man Blue is perfect, so you cannot interrupt them for anything.
Watch me screw it up, baby.
Spider-Man Blue there, and then everything else afterwards.
I'm gonna mess with everybody's, but nobody will know what they're reading. Like they can't tell the difference between John Romita and Tim Selgar. Okay, no, that's all I had to say, man. These are great choices. Lars, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What do you think of these choices?
Well, I am going to take issue. No, here's the thing. Some great choices here, but I am going to take issue with the mapping, and I am going to take issue with this idea that more is always better. The thing is, I think something should be what the hell it says it is. And Spider-Man Blue, I'm totally behind that because that was my backup pick. And, Curtis and I are very much in sync on that one, I think. I don't see the benefit for then adding on 8 issues from the Silver Age, 8 issues by a different writer, by a different artist that were done 40 years beforehand. So if you're reading Spider-Man Blue, I mean, it's a wonderful modern take with some great writing, some spectacular Tim Sale art. And then to follow that up with 8 issues from 40 years previous, I don't see that it benefits. I don't see why Spider-Man Blue in isolation isn't enough, that we need to pile in 8 more issues that, frankly, if I enjoyed Spider-Man Blue, I'd be like, I don't know why I'm reading this other stuff here.
Well, I think that once you start reading them, you'd realize why you're reading them, because all of the events that happen in Spider-Man Blue are told in those stories.
No,
because all of those stories are skimmed over. They're skimmed over in Spider-Man Blue because that's not the point of Spider-Man Blue.
I know, but you're making the reader, you're doubling the cost to the reader, and you're making the reader buy a bunch of just.
This is a business, Lars. Of course, we're going to double the cost.
I think Spider-Man. I'm with you with Spider-Man Blue. I think Spider-Man Blue is pretty great, and I think Spider-Man Blue is, you do it and then mic drop. And what more do you need? And I know you're trying to fill a continuity, flesh out the continuity there. I mean, I understand that. I get it. I just don't think it really improves on Spider-Man Blue. And well, then else you needed to call it something else, because if over half the book is not Spider-Man Blue, maybe it shouldn't be called Spider-Man Blue. And then, so I don't know. I think our efforts to add in more detracts from what the hell it says it is, and when that should be enough for people.
I don't think there's anything wrong with having people read something that it's based on. As a new reader, I would appreciate it going, oh my gosh, this is actually based on stuff that happened in the past. This is so cool. I didn't know comics did that. And let me.
Yeah, I don't know that. But would you enjoy it? I mean, and this is heresy.
Yes, I would enjoy it. You don't tell me what you would not enjoy, Lars.
But again, I look at it on like, what would I give to teenagers today? What would I give to the new readers as well as the old guard? Because if it's evergreen, it should be good for new people and old people alike. And I think too much of the Silver Age is of historical importance, but isn't actually that enjoyable to read.
I think that's where I really differ.
One of the few.
John Romita's Spider-Man is one of the only exceptions, I think, from that Silver Age rule. It reads very modern compared to other stuff that Marvel was putting out at the time.
Yeah,
no, I understand. I get that, but yeah, no, I think the Spider-Man Blue is enough.
Here's where I think that's actually a really elegant choice from Curtis, and for almost exactly the opposite reason of Lars. So often we get on the show and we're like, I don't know if that Silver Age material should be packaged. Would anybody pick it up? As we all just pointed out, I think Spider-Man is the most readable Silver Age material from any comic book publisher, except for maybe some of Fantastic Four in the 40s and 50s. But also B, I think it's really cool to be like, okay, here's a modern story. And by the way, as back matter, here's the Silver Age story that inspired it, because this is your way into Silver Age comic books. I think if you hand somebody like Curtis's Middle Choice, which I love and I almost picked and I will probably still vote for, but I think it's hard to hand a 12-year-old the Silver Age origin of Spider-Man. Kid Crisis would read it, but not every 12-year-old would read it. Whereas I think it's actually pretty easy to hand somebody the story that's like, here is the all-timer version of, you know, Gwen and Mary Jane. And oh, by the way, you can go back and read the stories that inspired it. I think that's an inspired choice.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. And actually, I think that just sold me on it. I do need to put a pause on things right now because one of our panelists has to leave a little bit earlier than he thought. So I want to go to Sean really quick, and we'll come back and look at Kurt. It was Curtis that we were on, right, Peter?
Well, actually, let me interrupt you, Omar. So sorry, Grandmaster, but do we think that it's better to debate Sean while Sean's here, or should we lightning round through everybody else's picks and have Sean tear them apart before he?
Okay, yeah. We'll let Sean pick. What do you want to do, Sean?
That's hilarious. Let's do the lightning round. That sounds.
God dang it! Okay. All right. Let's go back here to. Did you have your say on Curtis? No, you did not.
I did not.
Right, go ahead.
I am not a particularly big fan of Superior Spider-Man. I think the story's all right.
You're right on time then. All right.
I don't necessarily feel like it's a definitive Spider-Man story, but I wouldn't be mad if it made the top 10. I think your Amazing Spider-Man lead Ditko is perfect. I love every one of those issues. I have no complaints. And as far as Spider-Man Blue, I agree with everything that Crisis said. I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, packaging some additional material in there. In fact, that's material I have never read, and my first thought was, oh, I would like to read that too. So I'm all in on that.
Yeah, so face, Lars. So I had to add that in there.
It feels a little mean, but okay.
Well, I didn't say it was Sean.
Like
Sean
lightning.
I didn't say anything mean. I would never say anything
that's
mean
what
about
that's what he
Lars.
meant. I was just translating what Sean meant. Okay. Now we're moving on to OmniBeau. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, the Craven's Last Hunt coupled with The Child Within. I think Craven's Last Hunt should be here for sure. I think I probably feel the same way about this as I do about Spider-Man Blue, in that including the more is fine. So I like it. Maximum Carnage, I have read this. It does not need to be evergreen. It's closer to Ever Brown. It's fun, but it doesn't need to be in perpetuity. I think you can definitely skip this and be okay as a Spider-Man reader. And Blood Brothers, I haven't read these issues, but I heard Clone Saga, and I don't need it. So I would pass on that.
Wow, it sucks that we have to bite our tongue while Sean just stares.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say back to that, but I won't say a thing.
Okay, Sean, here's your list right there. But what do you think of? Well, actually, no, I think it's Steve. There you go, Steven's list here.
So I think, if I remember correctly, this doesn't include Craven's Last Hunt, the Child Within here.
It does not.
So I would pass. I think including Craven's Last Hunt is the only reason why I would be interested in this space. That feels like mandatory. And if one of our options includes it and the other doesn't, I'm going with the one that includes it. Coming Home is awesome. I love it. And so I would definitely love to see this make the list. And then Brothers in Arms. I don't know that we really need this. I feel like there are a lot of other Spider-Man stories that are much more definitive. I would pass on that.
Okay. What about Crisis's picks here?
Clean sweep. I love all of this. I think the death of Stacy's collection is inspired. I was trying to figure out a way to do something similar to this, but I just leaned in closer to like what was already a collection. I love what Crisis put together. Obviously, I already included the Gauntlet and Spider-Verse, even though I don't enjoy it. I think it belongs here. It's just commercially viable. Like, how could you not?
Okay, interesting. Aaron's choices.
Yeah, Indomitable Will. I'm iffy on. I heard the pitch. I don't know that I was gripped by it. I really like the Spectacular Spider-Man by Peter David concept, and I would love to see that make the list. And then I don't know why Brand New Day Year One is controversial. Like, I understand people going into it, but if you're looking in the rear view as a collection of comics, I think these are awesome books. Like, to me, Mr. Negative is the best new Spider-Man villain since who knows who, and that's all here. I think this is awesome, and I would definitely vote on this. I will vote on it.
And the greatest list of all. Go ahead.
Yeah, dude. Man, this Hobgoblin, these are great comics. Those are so good. I don't know if I feel like it needs to be top 10, but I love it so much that I would vote for it regardless. The Sinister Six, good comics. I just feel like the Gauntlet, because the Gauntlet deals with largely the same group of characters, similar concept, and I just think it's a more modern story with better stories based on the villains. So I think I would prefer the Gauntlet.
Okay.
And then Venom is mandatory. It has to make the list. I'm glad someone included this package. I think other people might have molded it differently. I personally feel like this is perfect and doesn't need the material that you didn't include. So I will absolutely vote for this.
All right. Thank you so much, Sean. So Sean just gave the seal of approval to all three of my votes. Now I know you need to get going, but you don't forget to vote Sean. And this is Sean's channel, the Comic Pals. And we are going to have his votes in before he leaves. So he gets off easy today because you don't have to hear a rebuttal from anybody, which I know some people were biting their tongue. That's okay. They'll talk about him behind his back as soon as
I will
leaves.
hear it all. Trust me.
You will. We were on Curtis, and I believe it was OmniBeau's turn to go. So go ahead, OmniBeau.
Well, I'm just going to sign off, say goodbye to everybody. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. Remember that I will hear all of this. And, so think about what you say, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the stream.
Sean, good to see you.
Take care.
Bye, Sean.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Man, that guy sucks. I love you, Sean. Okay. OmniBeau, what did you think about Curtis's choices here? We were just talking about, what works, what doesn't work.
So Superior Spider-Man, I thought he had me at, but then you talked me out of it with how much subplot there's going to be in the middle of that. So sorry, mate. Like I was all for it, but yeah. And then you're missing, $6.99 and $700, which I think you need. So I just think it's too much for what's meant to be like a 15-issue story. Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Well, that's the nail on the head, isn't it? That should always be evergreen, in my opinion. So 100% agree with you on that one. And Spider-Man Blue, why do you want to depress people forever? I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to continuously read this one. It should be a happy story because without the death of Gwen Stacy, then you would never have met Mary Jane, which is really what everybody wanted in the end anyway, right?
No.
Yeah, of course we did. Of course we did. We're all heartbroken about Gwen Stacy, but then Mary Jane came along and we forgot her name.
Wow. Just like that.
Whoa, I don't even know how to respond.
Your love is very, very fickle.
Plus, she's been cloned so many times.
You got to make sure you put that into your wedding vow somehow. Okay. Steven, what do you think about Curtis's choices?
So I I agree that Superior Spider-Man needs a little bit more. You need to understand how Otto Octavius became the Superior Spider-Man. So some recap pages might be able to help with that, but at the same time,
you just need one sentence that says, "Oh, by the way, Dr. Octopus transferred his consciousness into Peter Parker's body." Boom, time to go.
But I love
That's it.
I love the first bout of emotional weight that is placed upon Otto as Peter is lying there in a ditch, broken and bloody and dying. Otto gets that full gamut of emotions attached to the memories that he didn't receive when he initially did the mind transfer with Peter. And although being the Superior Spider-Man doesn't change who he is as a person, there's more gravitas and more weight behind his mission other than maniacal laugh, "I'm Spider-Man now, Peter's dead." So if we were to add that, maybe as it sits, even with the line that I love and many people love about the Green Goblin carrying his purse around, I think this one, unfortunately, Curtis, nothing but love, I have to vote out. I don't credit Stan Lee with writing the best dialogue, but Steve Ditko's art soars all throughout the selection you've made for Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and overrides any of the awkward romances that Stan was really trying to live in through Peter Parker throughout the first 100 or so issues. This gets my vote to stay in. Spider-Man Blue, Bo, love you, bro. I have to disagree because this is the book that made me better understand Gwen Stacy as a character better than reading the black and white Essentials phone book volumes I had, where Gwen initially started off as a great character, but she fell into that place in every main character's orbit where she lost everything that made her her own character. She was always, "Oh, Peter doesn't love me because he loves Spider-Man and he's going to take lewd photos of him instead of hanging out with me." You don't really
I don't remember that part.
That's exactly how I picture Gwen to sound as well. Spot on.
Yeah, we need the live read.
You don't really get Gwen as her own character with her own agency once she and Peter actually get together. She stops challenging him as a character and as an academic as she had in her early appearances. Again, that's Stan not understanding how to write women properly. That's why Jean Grey almost wound up the product of Professor Xavier's fantasies early on in the Silver Age books. Spider-Man Blue gets in because not only does it commemorate Peter's love for his first love, it shows that even though Peter still loves Gwen, Mary Jane understands and respects that, and it strengthens their bond because even though Mary Jane didn't love Gwen romantically outside of all the many fanfics out there and the Spider-Gwen verse, she had that attachment to Gwen. Blue gets my vote easily.
Yeah, see, I just find that very unrealistic where your current partner's like, yeah, I get it. You still love somebody else. It's just a little too fantastical for me. Is that a word?
I think it helps that she became more interesting after she died and you were able to fill in the gaps with that character. She's no longer a threat despite all of the multiple clones popping up, or spoilers for Gwenpool, a clone of a clone popping up in the story pages.
I think Sean just needs therapy. I don't know if he needs an evergreen debate to help him out. Knowing what true love is. Maybe we'll do a evergreen on true love one day and invite Sean back.
Best evergreen love comics for Valentine's Day.
Trouble. Millie the model.
Walker
all day.
But Sean has to go out. Or I mean, Bo has to go out there and like find the definition of true love, though. Seems a little confused. Okay, Peter, what do you
have we heard Aaron's takes on these? I've kind of said mine over the course of interrupting people.
take it away, Aaron. What do you think of these choices, buddy?
Let me give the quick version. No, yes, yes. No, I'm just kidding. So I say no only because as much as I love Superior Spider-Man, this one does need a dough. It just like, and I get what Peter's saying, about it being doughy in the middle. But that dough is still good. It still tastes good. So I mean, like, I still like it.
Aaron's like, sometimes the cookies are doughy in the middle, and I still eat them. It's fine. They're still cookies.
Oh, I absolutely eat the cookies with the dough in the middle.
Way to derail the conversation, Peter, with that.
You got me off track. But yeah, I mean,
but if you have to cut out something, if you have to condense this down to meet the page count, the dough unfortunately has to go.
I mean, I disagree because I mean, here's the thing. So, with what you've got here, you go from literally Otto is Superior Spider-Man, full stop. He gets Peter out of his mind, and then all of a sudden you jump to Green Goblin taking over the city. And I see before you start, I see you have the subplot pages for 11 through 26. But which subplots? Like, are we talking about like the Green Goblin subplots?
It would have to be definitely curated a certain way, and you'd have to do the Goblin stuff because that's what leads into the last story arc. But also, there's some of the relevant bits where Otto is learning his lessons and such. And it's not going to be full issues. It might have to have some recaps or whatever. It's going to be weird for sure. But that was like, either we get, if we're talking about an evergreen book, and it's either you love Superior Spider-Man, but it's either you get a condensed version or you get nothing. I think the condensed version is the way to go.
Dude, I can see Curtis running the collected editions department as the boss and yelling at people. Look, we need to keep this under 400 pages, and it needs to have subplot pages from every single issue. You figure out what pages those are, and I need it by Monday.
Hey, have you,
Find them.
Omar,
Find
did you get a copy? Did you get a copy of the Fantastic Four Hickman Marvel premiere
stuff? Yeah. He picked those out himself. It wasn't the collected.
It's a great collection. It's a fantastic way, pun intended, to tell that story in one volume. Even though it's a larger story, yes, it would be better to read the larger story. But if you have to condense it down, they did a tremendous job for that one. And I would use that as a roadmap to try and map out this one.
I see what you're doing here. Then okay.
The selected pages strategy doesn't always work. In the new Peacemaker DC Finest,
that one is terrible.
they include this Eclipso story, but they only include the Peacemaker pages, which means if you are into this story, you keep reading until the bit where Peacemaker gets slaughtered, and you have no idea anything else that's going on.
Yeah, but on the other hand, there's the the Harley Quinn DC Finest, where they only have the Joker story of the Cataclysm story arc or whatever. They just pull up those pages, and it reads great.
So would you get Dan Slott to do this?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
He forgot to write introduction by Dan Slott. And
well, I was just curious because I mean we talked about the Fantastic Four version. Like I mean they got Jonathan Hickman to do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that without a doubt, it would have to have his seal of approval on it. I mean, he knows the story better than anybody else.
And fun fact, those books were the inspiration for our switch to the stories format, because when we saw them put out the first couple of those books earlier this year, we were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We should do that. We should do curated evergreens. So it's kind of like...
in a way, we're doing that, right? Like
in the DNA.
Spider-Man by Lee and Ditko.
Yeah. I actually love that every single person on the stream has made their own version of their own books that they want to see, rather than just picking pre-existing collections or predictable stories.
Well, no, I did.
Did you say everybody?
I did.
Everybody. Well, Lars did it too.
I'm not calling any names out, but
I'm damn proud of it. I'm damn proud of it.
All right.
Okay. I said my piece on Curtis's book. Do you have anything to add about Spider-Man Blue, or you good with that, Aaron?
Let's see. So nothing to add about Spider-Man Blue. I agree with everybody's suggestions. Like that is a perfect book to me, and I would totally buy it. But also, Spider-Man Blue is my favorite Spider-Man story of all time. So there's that. But as far as the middle, I struggle with this too. I like it because I like the Silver Age, but I feel like it skips around too much. Like, again, we're going from the first. I get what you're doing as far as collecting the major first appearances, but I think collecting the major first appearances, you're almost missing the connective tissue. And I know it's Silver Age, so it's like, what connective tissue? But there are often subplots that run throughout. Like, for instance, with the Master Planner saga, you got 32 and 33, but you're missing 31, where he starts college, and where that Master Planner saga story starts. And that's when Aunt May is hospitalized and all that stuff. And so it's like, oh, okay, so we go to 32 where she's still hospitalized, and then he's like, oh, snap, it was my blood that did it and all that stuff. So it just kind of skips around a little bit too much for me, but I mean, I like the idea. I just wish that maybe there was just a more comprehensive way to collect it, such as Epic Collections and Omnis. And I don't know, the skipping around thing is kind of bothering me a little bit. That's just me.
To be fair, Aunt May is in the hospital a lot.
Well, yes.
So I think by the time you get to 32 and 33, you're like, damn, that chick is fragile. She's back in the hospital again.
I get your point about the Master Planner thing, that's valid. Most of these origin stories, though, like once you get to the annual and it's the Sinister Six, it's all of their second appearances. So you're not missing anything in terms of their storylines. And then I've also included Dr. Octopus's second storyline that comes before the annual. So it's like, I think you are getting everything there. The two issues that I cut out, I think one is the Lizard, and I can't remember the other one's the Enforcers. So they don't have any ties to anything else that's going on at the time.
Yeah, I was actually, by the way, thank you in the feed. I was thinking that too, that your approach here is basically the Penguin Classics line, which gets very choppy, but does work. So I kind of wish this was relabeled, because if I read by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, I kind of expect, the issues to run consecutively. But then again, Penguin goes all over the place, so who knows?
Okay, we can relabel it. Aunt May's back in the hospital again. The early years. OmniBeau's choices. You're the one that had Child Within and Craven's Hunt. I like that. That's a really good story. It has a little to do with Craven's Last Hunt since it's got vermin in it. But I like that. I like that mapping there. Maybe Soul of the Hunter, I would have added.
Yeah, I saw somebody mention that, and I agree.
So it's a whole team again, and it's got to do with the dealings of losing somebody. Like I think it's really good. Your Maximum Carnage. I saw some people in the comment section hating on it, but it was a #1 seller, man. They made a freaking video game on Maximum Carnage. It was a huge seller. The only thing I would do different in this one, this is actually my fourth pick, was adding his first appearance, so like 361 to 363. That is the only thing I would do different on that mapping right there. I don't have a problem with Maximum Carnage. It's ridiculous. It's very 90s, but you also have like appearances by other characters in the Marvel universe, and to me, I like the idea of introducing people to the entire Marvel universe through something like a Spider-Man book that stays in Evergreen. I think it's very important.
Come on, Omar. Come on, mate.
I don't know how much you can take out of the Clone Saga to make me like it, but there are some really good issues. There are some really good issues in here. Amazing Spider-Man 400 is one of the most beautifully written Spidey issues. I love it. I think it's sad. It makes me cry, especially when Ben can't, show up, to be there when Aunt May's dying, and he's just on that rooftop crying. That hits, man. But I don't know, man. Yeah, I got much to say about clonage.
I thought me throwing in that one issue of maximum clonage alpha would really
the New Warriors
would really annoy people. But apparently,
especially Steven, apparently.
This is I don't know about that one, man. That's the only one I don't know about. The other ones are great. Lars, what do you got to say about these choices, buddy?
Well, so I went with just Kraven's Last Hunt, and the reason is because, so what happened here is you've got the core story, and then what I think you've got is that 6-issue follow-up. I don't see anything wrong with just the core story. If you buy the Kraven's Last Hunt paperback right now, it's going to have the core story. It's not going to have those extra issues. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, one of the problems there is, it's not that the follow-up isn't worthy, but there's two problems. One is that Mike Zeck arc is killer. I mean, this benefits hugely from Mike Zeck's art. It just sends it over the top. The follow-up is by Sal Buscema, which, all due respect to him, it's fine. I don't object. He is no Mike Zeck. And so you're following it up with issues that, frankly, they're worthy, but they're not as good. I mean, I'm sorry, but they're just not as good. The second thing is that I think the follow-up story is somewhat J.M. DeMatteis second-guessing himself because, and bear with me here, there are two versions of Frankenstein. The one was published in 1818, and then Mary Shelley starts second-guessing herself and going, well, I'm a better writer now. I'm just going to go in there and change this and massage this. And so there was a second version published in 1831. And I think you can argue the first version is actually kind of superior. It's hard to argue with success. And that's sort of what it is here. It's like Kraven's Last Hunt. Boom, 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 boom. Drop the mic and you're done. And to follow it up with those 6 issues, which they're worthy in their own right, but they are not Kraven's Last Hunt. I think to stick to the core story. Yeah. And then, so sorry, I blathered a long time there. Maximum Carnage, well, no, thank you. And Maximum Carnage has the problem that as crossovers, that's got 4 writers and I don't know how many artists. And I prefer crossovers of just a consistent creative team because otherwise you're reading one issue and you're like, oh, that was quite good. And then the next issue is very different. And Blood Brothers, I think I have the anything related to the Clone Saga is a bit of a hard sell for me. So yeah.
The one thing I will, can I just say something about Kraven's Hunt, The Child Within, with what
Please.
you said? So for me, I guess the reason why I disagree with that and I chose it is because Kraven's Last Hunt is obviously what happens to him, and then after that is the fallout and the trauma that he's gone through after that. With your example of Frankenstein, I mean, the only changes that she made later was the cousin being her lover and Frankenstein having more motivation than the first book. So I don't really think that is the same as what you're trying to say with this one, because it's not changes that he's making, it's an expansion of the site.
Yeah, no, I do hear what you're saying. No, I mean, no, it is not exactly the same thing. Nonetheless, I think the core story here is just so terrific. I don't think it that add-on really. I think it's fine in its own right. It's fine in its own right, beginning to end. So.
See, I'm sorry, I gotta disagree. The reason why DeMatteis even did a follow-up was because he knew that, yes, it was fine in its own right, but that there was more to the story, especially with Vermin. He really wanted to. I think there was an introduction that he wrote for The Child Within Hungarian edition or Polish edition, one of those two, where he talked about how he wanted to explore the trauma that Vermin faced in a way that was more than just like this creature that he kind of made him to be in Kraven's Last Hunt. And so he introduced Kafka. He introduced Vermin's backstory and all that. And I think now I personally have not read this yet. I say because there has been an omnibus release, and I will get it eventually. I'm a little busy, but I want to read it and I want to experience it. And I think if Kraven's Last Hunt is truly as good as you say, which it is, but if it's as good as you say, then to me, it should prompt people to say, I want more, instead of just being
and for me, it doesn't. In no possible, when I read Kraven's Last Hunt and I finish it, in no possible regard am I sitting there going, oh, but I want so much more from this. I don't. I'm like, wow, that was a really killer story. I don't need more because it was that good. But that's just me.
Who doesn't want more of something?
Okay, here's my other argument for this.
Not me. Like
this
Watchmen. I don't need more Watchmen, for example. Yeah.
But I mean, even if you didn't need more Watchmen, or you didn't need more, like this is bigger than just our personal preferences. It's more about how do we view, the reader? How do we view a Spider-Man reader? Should a Spider-Man reader be prompted to say,
but
this, like,
as I say, I'm standing up for all the Spider-Man readers who are like, wow, that was great. I don't need more, but it was great.
I'm standing up for the ones that are saying,
I'm glad that you're standing up for the 3 people that agree with you, but unfortunately, the thing is that with Spider-Man 5, that's where I'm going with these ones. It's all about the psychology of Peter Parker questioning his own morality, which is the thread that you will see throughout my picks. Maybe not so much in Maximum Carnage, but with the 4th pick that I had as well that didn't make it. It's definitely all about the psychology and questioning Peter's, am I the spider or am I the man? Or can I be both?
Curtis, what did you have to add? You were saying something a little bit earlier.
I think based on our own rules of this live stream here, we're supposed to come up with stories about Peter Parker, and Kraven's Last Hunt is not a Peter Parker story. It is a Kraven story. Peter Parker is
from the dead.
He's in the grave for almost the entire story. He's at the very beginning and at the very end. By having this larger collection with the other stories, it makes it into a Peter Parker story. A Peter Parker
although I will point out that one of your picks literally has Otto Octavius pretending to be Peter. It's not.
No, but Peter is
true, but it's literally his body, and Peter.
Yeah, but yes, his body, but not his mind.
No. Peter's the subconscious, though. Remember, he is
Peter Parker is there.
Sort of.
Not at first. It takes a while for that to come through.
Not that long, really, because I just reread it. I mean,
is it really a Peter Parker story? Is it an Otto Octavius story? It's an Otto Octavius story.
Well, I mean, they work in tandem. Yes, it's an Otto Octavius story, but the reason Peter is there coaching him all the way and telling him the entire time that he needs to shape up and do something different. And where he's the Kraven the Hunter, he's on his entire story to figure it out himself.
I love how you brought up this can of worms about Kraven's Last Hunt not being a Peter Parker story, and it somehow just got completely spun around on you, and people are questioning your computer.
I knew it would, and I'm surprised that no one brought it up when they were talking about my picks.
Yeah, man. We just played Uno, and somebody just gave you a massive
how I was going to respond.
Occasionally, I try to be polite,
Epic collections aren't that good.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Whoa. Where's the cancel button?
All right,
Drop it from the
I would like to go before Steven, if I may, because I have a thing I want to hear specifically from Steven on this. So I'll be brief. I'll weigh in on the Kraven thing. I might be the only one who hasn't yet. I really love Kraven's Last Hunt. I think it's a great story. I read it pretty recently to do a guide to Kraven, which nobody has visited because no one cares. But as a Spider-Man story, it's great. But I will say that it does pair well with other stories. And I don't even know if this is the best version of that. I think you can pair it with The Child Within. I think you can pair it with, what is it, The Soul of the Hunter, a graphic novel. I think you could just put Grim Hunt on it to show like a modern retake. I actually just think, and the reason I say that is not because it's lacking. I'm not trying to argue with Lars there. I think it's actually so strong that it like supports having some satellite material in it, much in the way that Curtis's Spider-Man Blue pick did. So I might just vote for both of these and let the rest of you sort it out, because I just like Craven's Last Hunt, and I'll take it anyway. We can put it in there. Maximum Carnage, you know, I think we love to make fun of 90s stuff and 90s crossovers and whatever, but do you know what matters, though? If you can still hand that to a new reader who's heard of Carnage and they're, like, delighted from it. And I gave it to Kid Crisis, and she did not move from the spot until she read it, that's a word, read it from cover to cover. Like, sometimes 90s excess can be entertaining in the same way as Silver Age can be entertaining, in that it's from a previous period and a modern reader is delighted by it. That comics just don't do that kind of thing anymore. It's unique to 90s crossovers. So yeah, I think there's a great reason to put Maximum Carnage in there. What other Carnage story are you going to put in there? Absolute Carnage? That is a really big stretch for somebody to read as like the definitive Carnage story. And I'll note that nobody picked it. But the reason I wanted to go before Steven is because it didn't even occur to me that anybody would try to distill the Clone Saga down to a kind of like abridged greatest hits version, which I don't know why, because Bo is on the stream and his friggin' profile picture is Ben Reilly. But now I kind of want to hear Steven and Bo battle it out about why their pick is better than the other pick, because we're not putting both in. Let's be clear. There's no way we're all going to vote for two different Clone Saga abridged versions. So I think only one clone may rule them all, which is kind of the theme. So I do want to hear Steven tear Bo to pieces, and then subsequently both tear Steven to pieces, and I yield my time.
I will say as well that in my original Craven's Hunt, The Child Within, I did include one of my favorite 3-part stories of all time, which was Funeral Arrangements, where the vulture was dying. Because that is just an absolutely amazing, brilliant story, but it just didn't quite fit the theme, I think, of the rest.
Take it away, Steven. What do you got for OmniBeau?
All right, so I agree that Craven's his last hunt, it's essential to an understanding of the Child Within, and had I more space, I would have included that alongside the Child Within. Due to space and the fact that Craven's Last Hunt has had multiple collections, whereas the Child Within hasn't really been shown that much love in the collected edition format, I decided to go with the Child Within and with the Death of Vermin to also encapsulate that cap of the story with what goes on with a supporting cast member passing in issue 200. It's a quintessential Spider-Man story and really showcases that when the chips are down, even if you've wronged Peter, even if you've left him for dead, he's always going to come back and fight with love rather than with hate or anger. Unless Otto Octavius is inhabiting his body, then it's free game. So I really don't know how to vote on Bo's selection over my selection, but if y'all want to fight for either one, I'm okay with it. I'm all for Bo's first selection, including Craven's Last Hunt and The Child Within, because they're complements of each other. As Bo said, one of them is showcasing Peter experiencing the trauma, and The Child Within is the aftermath and the start of the healing process. Mental health is one of my favorite things to discuss and to work toward bettering. So this story kind of speaks to that. Maximum Carnage, I don't think it's one of the top 10 Spider-Man stories out there, but in terms of what declares this is 90s, baby, Maximum Carnage is that. It's all out action. It's got emotional beats all throughout. We got a red cartridge for the Super Nintendo with the first printing, for goodness sake. So Maximum Carnage stays in. With the Clone Saga, I really don't think if we can have double dipping with so many X-Men books out there that we love, if we can have Road to, Aftermath.
Hey, Steven, easy now. You want to get invited back, don't you?
The Secret Life of Professor Xavier, then we can have multiple Spider-Man Clone Saga books. Heck, we can have, as I postulated, 4 Clone Saga Aftermath Omnis in the near future. You never know. I don't like maximum clonage, but I do see it as a worthy successor, at least alpha, to following up the horrific events that take place at the end of the trial of Peter Parker, both the Hank Pyming incident and the reveal that affects both Spider-Men. And if we want to get literary with how essential a brotherly bond is, we don't have to quote Frankenstein. We can go to the Bible, which we don't want to get religious, but we can go to the far distant year past of 2020 where a modern American...
Are we comparing the Clone Saga to the Bible and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? Is that what we're doing right now?
I mean, what is the Clone Saga if not a modern adaptation of the Action Bible, really? Like...
No, it's true. Also, I'm concerned about the term Hank Pyming. I worry what that could mean.
Many different things.
Yeah, apparently, yes. Yes, certainly.
I will not spoil it. I regret to this day that it made it to the printed page, and I believe that's why many writers have never, again, referenced it post the maximum clonage storyline. So even within, we'll say, 6 weeks of publication of Spectacular Spider-Man 226, it didn't seem to be brought up again. Lars, it's worse in a way than what Hank Pym did in that infamous issue of Avengers.
Yes. That's where one mind goes. No, this is why famously I believe the Spanish comic strip version of Spider-Man include a rewriting of Exodus. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can prove that or not. Damn it!
Right. I mean, who can find the strips to confirm or deny this?
The Exodus being we want to get as far away the hell from this story as
there was an
possible.
Exodus certainly away from the story. Yeah.
But I love the fact that Peter is thrown for a loop with Aunt May yet again faking an illness. This time, unfortunately, it's real. At the end of the day, it takes her life. She's not just looking and crying out for attention. And Ben Reilly's stuck mourning on his own. So Peter eventually realizes that Ben's not here to take away his life, that there is a chance that these two can coexist as Superman Red and Superman Blue and figure out how to bond and fight the forces of evil and for justice or whatever, the American way together. I'm for Beau having blood brothers if no one ends up voting for my Clone Saga sampler, because
I can't believe we're still talking about the damn Clone Saga. What is going on?
You're welcome.
It's better than Onslaught, Omar. It's better than Onslaught.
Well, that's a low bar.
I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to Sean's list. He's not even here, man.
He chose
Spider-Man
and us.
he chose the coward's route and went with an easy pick.
Oh God.
He's not here to hear that. Damn it.
No, he'll never hear this at all.
He'll watch later.
The Gauntlet, I do dig. I like it, but I like my Sinister Six picks better. Spider-Man Life Story is actually a really good choice. I dig that. It's not that I forgot about it, but I forgot how accessible it can be to new readers. I think Zdarsky did an amazing job of recapping everything and kind of putting the decade's little twist into it. So I dig that. Lars, what are your thoughts on the Gauntlet and Spider-Man Life Story? I know how you feel about Ultimate. It was you that picked Ultimate Spider-Man, right?
I did, yeah. I like the Gauntlet. I'm inclined to vote for that one. Yeah. Spider-Man Life Story, that's one of those that, like, it's good. But, you know, there's a gajillion Spider-Man stories that kind of equally compete with each other. Like, okay, it is good. Is it evergreen? I don't. It doesn't for me launch into the evergreen category. But I mean, I don't have anything. So I probably won't vote for it. I don't have anything against it. I don't think against it at all. But it doesn't quite get there.
Okay, but Curtis, what are your thoughts, buddy?
I will agree with Sean's inspired choice for Ultimate Spider-Man numbers 1 through 13. It is definitely, if I had another pick, I would have picked that one, and because it is just great. And the Gauntlet actually is one of the few stories in this live stream here that I haven't read, but everyone speaks so highly about it. So I'm gonna have to go and read it at some point. Spider-Man Life Story. I really enjoyed it when I read it, but I think I really enjoyed it because I knew so much about Spider-Man's history and those things that you said, Omar, about the little decade twists with the black costume and Carnage and all of that kind of stuff. And it really benefits from knowing Spider-Man history to understand why we are going through or why we're talking about the things we're talking about here. I don't know that it needs to be evergreen, but it's definitely a good story.
Well, to play the role of Sean, since he's not here, I think, wouldn't it benefit from being on a list with 9 other Spider-Man books that you could read?
Absolutely.
Like, you could just read those, and then it leads to this, and you're like, wow, the payoff was so cool.
Are you making fun of me,
Perfect
Omar?
impression. Now go play that piano,
Fun of
Omar.
anybody.
Yeah, no, there should be the life story omnibus, which covers all the stories leading up to this. Yeah.
Well, if we take the Spider-Man Blue approach, we could put all of the stories that
Which I'm certainly in favor of. So yes, more. What what's needed here is like another.
I can't tell if Lars being sarcastic.
Another 25 issues to 25 issues to explain the 6 issues you're reading here. Yeah.
That was sarcasm.
Now you're talking like an X-Men fan.
Oh, I'm a true comic book fan. I finally evolved.
Curtis, anything else left to say on Sean's books?
No, I think that's it. Good choices, Sean.
Okay. Lars, did you speak about these? I can't remember.
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
yes, but I did, but it was so forgettable that I don't blame you for not remembering.
Do not put words in my mouth. OmniBeau, thoughts on Sean's list?
I think they all suck, Omar.
Okay, well, screw it, because I'm not Sean. I don't give a crap.
No, I think like Ultimate Spider-Man, it is very, very hard to not have that on an evergreen list. I'm not saying it's for me, but I can definitely see how that there's a big argument as to why Ultimate Spider-Man should be on there. The Gauntlet, I think I've only ever read that once, and that's when it first came out. So I'm not going to lie and pretend that I actually remember it all. The only thing I really remember is those awesome covers they did for each issue for the villains. They were really good. So I really need to reread Gauntlet for whether I think that deserves to be evergreen or not. And Spider-Man Life Story, hey, I love Chip Zdarsky very, very much. But does this story need to be evergreen? No, I don't agree with that at all. It's a great story, but evergreen? No.
Okay, Steven, thoughts?
All right, I still agree that Ultimate Spider-Man fits perfectly well. It's been used as the template for modern Spider-Man stories. We've gotten a younger, more hip Spider-Man in the far too short Amazing Spider-Man duology from Sony. Tom Holland could potentially be the Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm good with it. People don't always like Bagley's artwork. Seeing it on Ultimate Spider-Man, Thunderbolts, I'm a big fan of it. When his line work is on point, it's great. The Gauntlet, I really wish that Brand New Day Omnibus Volume 3 had been titled The Gauntlet. This is a great set of stories. I'm all for it, even with the conclusion of Shed, which is absolutely brutal. Life Story, I'm on board with that. I think it would make for a wonderful premiere collection all on its own. It's just about the perfect size. And with the trade paperback continuing to sell with the expanded edition, hey, maybe Marvel does have a premiere collection coming down the line. I'm for all three of these.
Okay. Peter, thoughts on Sean as a human being? Not so
Impeccable,
much.
top of the line. And I have to say, same for his picks. We've already heard my opinions on Ultimate Spider-Man, so that will hold. The Gauntlet was one of my picks as well. I will say you can default to assuming that I'm going with Sean's map. I think he's probably right that the Juggernaut story is the one to leave out to get into the issue range that we need. So I'm verifying that his can stand in for mine. Spider-Man Life Story. I cannot believe the words coming out of all of your mouths right now. Have we learned nothing from DC Comics? They have New Frontier. They have Kingdom Come. They have The Dark Knight Rises. Marvel historically is shit at doing that. Chip Zdarsky, of all people, one of the most beloved modern writers of the last 10 years, gives us basically that for Spider-Man, and you're going to argue against it? What is happening here? This is the most shoe-in pick of everything on the list. It's a one and done, unique, you don't need to know continuity, appreciate Spider-Man's life through the decade story by Chip Zdarsky. Put it in. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Mic drop.
I don't know who you're talking to because I said I liked it.
You
must be talking to the people above me. Aaron, what do you think about these picks, buddy?
Well, first off, I would just like to say praise Peter. Second of all, I would like to say I'm kidding.
You don't have to be scared of Peter. You don't have to be scared of Peter, Aaron.
Oh, I'm not scared of Peter. I'm scared of God. No, but for real though, I absolutely agree. Life Story should absolutely 100% be on this list. I don't think that there's honestly a better story that deserves to be on this list that should be on this list. Gauntlet, again, the skipping issues thing. I can't get around the skipping issues thing. I mean, and I know it's ironic because mine has skipped issues, but or one of mine does. But I think that if you're talking about a comprehensive story, like, and granted, these aren't comprehensive in the same way that, say, Ultimate Spider-Man is, but comprehensive in the way that it tells it has an overarching goal. Gauntlet leads up to Grim Hunt, and then Grim Hunt concludes that Gauntlet story with everything. So the only thing that doesn't get covered in that is the Juggernaut story, because that's kind of framed in by Roger Stern. But I think I like it, but not enough to be evergreen. And Ultimate Spider-Man, I mean, that's a given. That was my gateway. I'd say keep it in there.
Okay. Let's move on to
as we're commenting on Sean when he's not around. I'll just throw in that he is also quite dishy. So
okay, thank you for that.
He can look forward to that later.
Yes, I'm sure he's going to save that clip. Steven's choices here.
Rip it apart.
I love your Coming Home. I'm so glad somebody put Coming Home. I didn't know if that was going to make it, so I think it's a great jumping on point for Spider-Man, and definitely deserves to be evergreen. The issues you left out, it kind of makes sense. The Child Within, I kind of like OmniBeau's mapping a little bit more. I see what you did here. It's hard not to put issue 200 in there because that might be it's up there with one of the best J.M. DeMatteis stories he's written for Spider-Man. But I kind of like Kraven's Last Hunt put in with The Child Within. Between you and OmniBeau, I got this. My God, the Clone Saga books, man.
One of us.
This if I have to vote for one, it has to be the one that includes the least amount of issues of clones in there. So,
oh, come on! That was a horrible sentence.
Mine has the new Warriors in 2 issues.
Yeah, easy, Steven. You're not gonna win anything with that. Yeah, that's all I got to say, man. That's all.
I knew I should have added friends and enemies.
Okay, Lars, go for it. What do you think about this?
Well, again, I think The Child Within is fine. I don't think it's evergreen worthy. I don't really think it should be attached to Craven's Last Hunt, and I don't think it's evergreen worthy on its own. I mean, it's fine. I don't object to it. I don't piss all over it. But yeah, Coming Home. Coming Home from memory, isn't Coming Home like the start of Straczynski's run? And I wonder if it's opening. Yep. It doesn't this open the door to all the spider totem? Business. Yeah. Is that
what? You have issues with that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was interesting. I don't know if it should be promoted and fronted as like, you know, one of the top-notch Spider-Men, or Spider approaches to Spider-Man. I don't know about that one. And then the Clone Saga thing, yeah, no, thank you. So,
okay. Curtis, your thoughts?
Okay, so I think Child Within, I'm going to have to vote against it just because I don't think that as a standalone book, I care enough about it. I would prefer to see, in a more comprehensive Craven collection's great, or a bigger, J.M. DeMatteis Spectacular Spider-Man collection. But on its own, probably lesser down on my list there. Coming Home, I love that story, that first story with Moreland. I think it's just so good, and I remember buying it off the stands and absolutely like on the edge of my seat. Couldn't believe I had to wait a month to find out what the next chapter was going to be. And I like that you've included some of those other follow-up stories, not follow-up stories, but just some of the other stories in that run. But I think just on just on the strength of that first story, I'll pick that one for sure. The Clone Saga, yeah, this is a hard one because I don't just basing it off. I'd have to look at the actual issues. I know that both of you described them, but I think I don't know them well enough to know which mapping I prefer. So it's going to be a hard choice. I do want to pick one of them because I do appreciate that both of you put a lot of thought into how you would map this particular collection. So, but I'll have to flip a coin to see who gets my vote, or maybe I'll just vote for both of them.
What? You don't have to do that. You don't have to do either. OmniBeau, Steven's choices.
So obviously I like my own thing with The Child Within and Craven's Last Hunt. However, Spectacular Spider-Man 200 is my favorite comic that's ever been written. And it's because apart from my fiance, the only thing that matters to me at the top of my list in my life is my friendships. So when I read stories that are so about brotherhood and friendship and all that, it really gets me. And Spectacular 200 is just the best thing ever. So I would like to steal that issue and put it in mine. But the fact that he put it in there, I've a lot of respect for. I see what he's trying to do with that, as opposed to Craven's Last Hunt. It's more of a Harry Osborn eccentric sort of collection. So I do like it. And if they ever made a Child Within collection like that, I'd probably grab it. Coming Home was on my list. It was on my short list. I get what Lars is saying about the whole spider totem thing. It is a little bit of a turn-off for me as well. However, the Coming Home, it really was a great jumping on point, as Omar said. And the whole fight with Moreland, man, I mean, that was epic. That was just absolutely insane, and I loved it. So, yeah, I do agree that I do get the love for that collected edition. And Brothers in Arms, well, you know my thoughts on that one.
Okay. Crisis.
It's been such a joy having Steven on the stream, which I need to preface this with because I don't like these choices that much. for different. Well, we'll see. Let's work it out. So, Child Within. I actually don't know if I've ever read Spectacular 200. So now that's what I'm doing this weekend. But I just think Beau has the right idea to anchor with. I think if you anchor with Craven, you can put a lot of supporting stuff in there. I kind of already said my piece on that. I would love it if Steven and Beau could come to an agreement there that we could just vote for them both as the same thing, because I think Beau's is just a stronger map personally. Coming Home, Steven almost got me with how great the covers of this are and the way that he sold it. And then I remembered I hate GMS writing Spider-Man. I hate John Romita Jr. drawing Spider-Man. And I hate spider totems. So even though the covers of this book are beautiful, I would never willingly subject anybody to reading JMS Spider-Man. It's crazy to me that the omnibuses exist. I get that they're selling really well, and I respect that, and good for everybody involved. But to me, that is the nadir of modern Spider-Man. There's no way to get me to vote for it.
So we'll put you down as a maybe.
Yeah, put me down for 2. So, and then Brothers in Arms, having heard both the pitches, and since Steven and Beau are too friendly and refuse to go for each other's throats, what are you, Canadian? Even Curtis is fighting back on this stream. I would say that actually, I think Steven's map is a little bit more, I think he's got the right parts of the story that I want in the map of this book, if I want this book. Whether I want it or not, I have not yet decided. But I think I slightly favor this version over Beau's version.
The only problem I have, I think, with this version is it goes past issue 400, which is where I think the Clone Saga really gets kind of messy. If I were to keep everything, if I were to have an ultimate collection of just a condensed Clone Saga, it would be all kind of pre-400.
Oh,
Okay.
trust me, I have some Clone Saga sample collected.
Nope. Just one is good enough. One is good enough for the show. Aaron, what do you think about Steven's choices here?
Well, first off, I would like to take back that praise Peter, because he dislikes JMS and dislikes John Romita Jr. and dislikes Spider Totem.
He knows how to backstab you properly, man. He's really good at it.
I guess so. I felt that in my soul. So, I saw that chat. That was funny. Okay, so the Child Within, Warren
hates everything.
So the
Child Within. What do you think about that?
I gotta go with OmniBeau's mapping on this one as well, because I like Craven's Last Hunt having a direct follow-up with both Soul of the Hunter, which I know wasn't in there, and the Child Within story. I think that to me makes the most sense, because it just flows like one continuous story told by J.M. DeMatteis. Coming Home, y'all know how I feel about skipping issues. I just feel like this just kind of goes a little all over the place with how, and don't get me wrong, I love Coming Home. This is my favorite Spider-Man run, period, Peter. But with
wow,
but with this,
there's some venom there.
I see what you did there. But with skipping issues, you lose a lot of the nuances that go into this run, especially when it comes to, like, say, going from 37 to issue 50. Going there, it's like you lose the lead up to Peter and MJ kind of reuniting. You lose the kind of the realization that she has in issue, I want to say 48. When she gets that plane ticket and she's like, you know what, after the whole Shathra thing, I want to see Peter for myself and all that. I just think that it goes a long way to include those issues as opposed to just skipping around them, to me. Clone Saga, I haven't read it. I was literally born when it was on, so I had no clue. I know, I'm young.
Thank you for reminding us all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Just wanted to add that little bit of salt.
He just Thanos snapped half of the panel into dust with that comment.
So with that, I don't know if Clone Saga needs to be on there, but I think that if you had to absolutely have it on there, then I mean, I don't know. I would start with the beginning personally, with like power and responsibility and what else? The separating series and then coming together with issue 400. I would do that, and neither of these maps do that. But that's just me personally. So I would have to vote for neither Brothers in Arms or the Blood Brothers collections. Sorry.
The Blood Brothers and Brothers. There's so much brothers in the Clone Saga, man. Bro, anything else before we move on to the best 3 choices of the evening? Wait, no. Damn it.
Yes, that's right. Stick with that. Stick with that
Damn
feeling.
It, I thought it was me next. Holy crap, we're only on Peter.
Talk about a Freudian slip.
Okay. Death of the Stacys. Love it. I think it's a great choice, and I love your mapping. Yeah, that's some good mapping. You get to know the characters a little bit, and then we kill them. Love it. The Gauntlet. Who else had the Gauntlet? One of you.
Sean, my esteemed colleague, Sean of the Comic Pals.
Your mapping is a little different than his.
Yeah, but I said I defer to his. I think leaving the Juggernaut story out.
I do like the Gauntlet.
Smarter.
I think that was one of the best parts about the Brand New Day era. Although I like the beginning of Brand New Day a little more. Ooh, this is gonna be tough. Because if I have to pick between Brand New Day and Gauntlet, it might be Brand New Day. Spider-Verse, I do think that is a good idea. I like that. I like when you're introduced to a bunch of other characters. When you're reading a Spider-Man story, it's a fun crossover before it became oversaturated with a bunch of Spider-Verses every year. I thought the original one was a lot of fun. Plus, it's got beautiful artwork in there, too. So that actually might get my vote. And you get Superior Spider-Man in there. Lars, what do you think of these picks, buddy?
Well, I congratulate you, Peter, on finding well, let's see. Are we talking Silver Age or Bronze Age here, really? The Death of the Stacys is from an era that I just kind of reflexively don't vote for. You found the one story that I think can convince me to vote for it because, I mean, in a way, as Spider-Man goes, this is a way more instructional even than what Leon Ditko did in some regards, because like the death of Gwen Stacy, the shocking historical nature of that is just not to be underestimated. It certainly did not have to go that way, but it was a bold choice. It was a really, really bold choice. So just in the sheer historic awesomeness of it, I can get to yes on that one. The Gauntlet I've already espoused some love for. I can get to yes on the Gauntlet. So Spider-Verse, here's the thing. I might have gone for Spider-Verse, but I was under the impression that we were to focus on Peter Parker. And
who's in the middle of the cover, Lars? Who's there in the middle?
Well, I know, but that's the thing. I have a heart. Yeah, I know, but
answer the question, Lars.
In the grit. God, the hostility.
Sorry, I had to get something off my chest. Go on.
Well, I'd have to stop and think about it. But the grand sprawling nature of Spider-Verse, it didn't ring to me as a Peter Parker story. It's kind of, he's one of a huge cast. So I might have picked it if that'd been fair game. I thought it wasn't fair game. I appreciate what you've done here. Because I love Spider-Verse. I own Spider-Verse. I've never sat there and thought to myself, oh, if only I had the Peter Parker issues, this would improve immensely. Or if only I had the Peter Parker issues, this would be more accessible. I've just never thought of it in those terms.
But now you do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and reread them as to how well that makes sense. I appreciate what you've done, but I don't know that the world actually needs a Peter Parker Spider-Verse. I think maybe that slices too much of it out. I have to stop and reread these to think whether it's viable or not. I'm tempted to say it isn't. I'm tempted to say that something is lost if you do this approach. But I do love Spider-Verse.
Loving Spider-Verse. Got it. Curtis, my friend, thoughts?
Well, I'm glad that somebody picked Death of the Stacys because that definitely has to be in here at some point. Funny story. I originally, when I sent my picks over to Peter, I included the two Death of Gwen Stacy issues at the very end of the Spider-Man Blue collection, but then cut them because first of all, it pushed it way over the page count, and also they're not by Stan Lee and John Romita. So I just wanted to kind of keep it to those supplemental issues to just the Romita ones, because Spider-Man Blue is an homage to the Romita era.
Arguably, aren't you leaving out the biggest headline then if you do that?
Yes, but you're right. We should make that book bigger. Yeah.
Welcome to the dark side, Lars.
So I'm glad that this book is here. 100% it has to be evergreen. I love that old collection that was released several years ago, and before the Epic collection came, I had that in my collection, and it's got to be there. Gauntlet I've already talked about. I haven't read this story, but based on the praise that people are giving it, I'll give it a vote. And Spider-Verse I think is great. It's one of those stories that because of its popularity, it spawned a movie, and because of the movie's popularity, it's got a lot of interest in the comic as well. So I think that it needs to stay there in the zeitgeist of this current generation, and the way it's mapped here, I think is just fine. Focusing on Peter Parker is great. So let's do that, and then you can get a companion collection that just is Miles Morales, and go from there.
Where is James? We need that data. OmniBeau, thoughts on Peter's choices here?
So, Death of the Stacys, I think, is pretty much a given. I mean, the other choice that I was going to make for my fourth one was this whole Green Goblin-centric collected edition that was basically showing how much the goblins have just destroyed Peter Parker's life from get-go. And that included the Death of the Stacys. So I think that's an absolute banger of a choice to have on your evergreen list. The Gauntlet I've already spoken about. I need to reread it to really remember why everybody loves it so much. And Spider-Verse, I think you're nuts. I don't know why you would pick that. I mean, when I was going through the stories, I mean, I made the mistake of looking at my omnibuses, and I saw the Spider-Geddon omnibus, and I thought, I wonder if this can make it. And then I looked at all the content, and I went, no, that is just way too much for me to try to make it into a small book. But then I did it with the Clone Saga, so what do I know? So I forgot about this hardcover on its own. I get the appeal because of how much Spider variants are out now, which is just, I hate it. It does my head in. So I don't know why you'd want to, say to Marvel, oh yeah, we really like that idea. Let's now make it so we can always buy that. And you can keep making Edge of Spider-Verses every month because that's what people love. Crisis.
Wait, you don't have a problem with spider clones, but you have a problem with spider variants. Is that correct?
Hey, I'll clarify that. I love my multiverses and people, but they've done it to death, Omar. Come on, man. It's like Venom and symbiotes. I love symbiotes, but now there are so many symbiotes, I don't even remember all the symbiotes that are out there.
Yes,
now,
because cloning, they've shown great restraint on that, element.
That was
sarcastic. Go back to reading your second copy of Frankenstein and come back to me.
The Hungarian version.
I was being polite. I actually disagree with some of what you said, but that's fine.
Okay. Who's going next? Steven, what do you think of Peter's choices?
So I don't have an issue with any of these. I think that the death of both Stacys were of paramount importance in Peter's life, and for better or for worse, the death of Gwen helped him mature a little bit and move forward, and she became a more interesting character afterward because we were able to retcon events and give her proper agency in the story again. Jerry Conway wrote some stellar Spider-Man stories. The artwork is great all throughout. And we finally get to see a villain who has created all this trauma and forced death upon our hero finally meet their end until, spoiler alert, the Clone Saga ends in part in Peter Parker Spider-Man 75, and Norman gets his ass back amongst the living. The Gauntlet, I'm perfectly fine with. I don't have any issue with that. And Spider-Verse, I think it has merit. I think Dan Slott was trying to really relay why Peter Parker is the focal point of all Spider lore in the 616 universe and across the multiverse. Even Captain Britain Spider-Man looks to him for guidance. Plus, it's got some banging Giuseppe Camuncoli. Sorry, Miscusi if I mispronounce that name. And it's some great follow-up to Superior Spider-Man. It kind of takes the, I believe it was issue 17 through 19 of Superior Spider-Man, where Spider-Man 2099 showed up. It kind of brings that story where the Superior Spider-Man disappears for a panel or two and is confused all to hell as to what happened, full circle thanks to this story. I'm giving all of these a vote. These are all essential Spider-Man stories.
Okay, and Aaron, Peter's List, thoughts, prayers.
Okay. So I like Death of the Stacys. I really actually do like that one. I think that needs to be on there. The Gauntlet, I've said my piece about that one with, I think the skipping issues kind of goes around what makes the story, especially with some of the issues you have skipped here, like the Rhino story. The Rhino story was awesome in 617 and 625.
It is. I mean, it's all really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I am surprised that was skipped. But I would vote against it only because it doesn't feel as comprehensive to me. And this third one, Spider-Verse. So fun fact about me, I actually despise Spider-Verse.
Oh no!
Even the movies?
Well, you've got your JNS and I've got my Spider-Verse, much like star-crossed lovers. Never to...
I love the first movie. The first movie, Into the Spider-Verse, I love it. The second movie, I like it. But the comics, to me, really just epitomize what was wrong. Like, I think OmniBeau, you said it best, that they ran it into the ground. Like, the very concept of the Spider-Verse has been done to death to the point where I think they can make 2 or 3 more omnibuses of it. Like, and not if Marvel is watching this, that is not cue to make 2 to 3 omnibuses of Spider-Verse. And it's ironic for me because once upon a time I wanted the Spider-Verse omnibus, and I was like, man, I really want to get into the story and all that stuff. And then I looked and I realized I was not into it. I was not into it at all because to me, it diminishes the importance of Peter Parker as opposed to highlights the importance, and really makes him feel like a Spider-Man, not the Spider-Man. Because to me, Peter Parker is the Spider-Man. But I'm not going to get into all that. So no for Spider-Verse.
Could I just say, like, as I hate to say real Spider-Man fans because that sounds really arrogant, but when you've got
just a tad, go on, OmniBeau.
When you've got hear me out. When you've got Spider-Man fans turning around and saying they love the idea of Spider-Verse and they love the idea of all these different characters, and those same people think that it's just been done to death, I think that sort of tells you something. I once got a mural painted by Rian Gonzalez and another artist of all the different Spider characters because I was so into that when Spider-Verse finally came out years and years later, I was all into it. but it was just too much, man.
You can never have too many spider characters.
Well, I guess I now have to quickly defend Spider-Verse in that, see, for me, I mean, if ever there's an excuse to go
You're
nuts...
defending Peter's choice?
Well, no, I'm defending Spider-Verse. If ever there's a choice to go nuts with the multiverse approach, this is it. And also, I like Spider-Verse because it exposes me to all sorts of spider characters that I don't feel a need to read the other issues. I don't feel a need to read all those background issues. I'm just like, oh, it's just a bunch of alternate Spider-Men. Isn't it great? So for me, it's actually more accessible than a lot of multiverse stories, and I can skip all the other ones.
But this doesn't do that though. Like this allows you to see this is the main story right here that Peter has picked.
Well,
but if we're talking main-ish, but if we're talking about exposing you to other sort of what I'm saying is the concept has been done to death so much more than just the if we just took the main story, it'd be fine. If it was just this, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But they've expanded it to literally everything Spider-Man related. The show,
but that is kind of the point. I mean that is kind of why it exists.
No,
and to clarify, it is just this though. Including it in an evergreen doesn't mean that anybody that reads it is like, wow, I want more. And they very well could want more Spider-Verse stuff. It's up to them to buy it.
To be fair, the decision to do a story called Spider-Verse, you kind of want and expect them to go nuts with it. I mean, that is the raison d'etre.
And they certainly did, because 3 years later, we got Spider-Geddon, and that...
Well, it's an annual thing now. Spider-Verse is just a thing now that exists out there, and it ties into Spider-Woman.
That's where it probably has been extended beyond its lifespan. I would agree. I mean, do we need an annual thing for that? No, but that's not to fault this original story.
True. I think you have to look at it as you have a cow, you can milk it, and that's fine, but you can also milk it to death to the point that we just finished off Spider-Verse versus Venomverse, because there's a Venomverse as well.
Oh yeah, they have milked it to death. I just don't think they've done that until
no, they haven't. There's no carnage.
We've all seen Into the Woods. You don't want the cow to die.
Oh, they did that. They did that digitally, Omar, and I believe they're finally.
God damn it! There goes that joke. Okay. Look, Aaron's choices here. I'm not the biggest fan of Paul Jenkins, but I realize there's a lot of people that are. I didn't like his Spider-Man. I think you and I have talked about this. I do like the artwork, and I like the death of the family. That was okay, but yeah, I don't know. I never dug it, so that one might be a no. Your Peter David, I think, is better than Lars's choice.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I like it. I like the mapping. I think it's good. I think it's more than just the death of Jean DeWolf. And Brand New Day, I think, is definitely a great jumping on point for Spider-Man. Once I distance myself from that story one more day, Brand New Day was a lot of fun to reread. It reminded me of those like 60, like early 70s issues of Amazing Spider-Man. He's just out there on his own, not tied down to anybody, kind of a little bit of a playboy, but not really good at it. And then, of course, the Parker Lark. Yeah. I like those two choices, right? The last two choices at the end. Those are just my opinions. Lars had issues with your Peter David Spectacular Spider-Man, though.
I do.
And I wonder if it's the same reason he had given everybody else that fattened up their choices.
Well, sort of. Well, here's the thing. So I appreciate what you're trying to do. I honestly do. Well, wait, this is meant to be... this isn't meant to be Peter David Volume 1. It's meant to be Spectacular Spider-Man by Peter David Volume 1. Okay, here's the thing. Peter David did not write a third of this. He didn't write issue 101. He didn't write issue 102. He didn't write issue 104. He didn't write issue 111. And he didn't write issue 114. And that is... I mean, if you're going to call it by Peter David, I'm one of those crazy people who thinks it should be by Peter David. But it isn't. I mean, a third. You're forcing me, the reader, to buy a third of this collection that isn't what I want to buy. Now, if you're going to focus on Spectacular Spider-Man, if you're like, well, we're going to flesh out and present this era, sure. I mean, maybe, yeah, but then you need to call it something different. You can't build this as by Peter David Volume 1 when a third of it is not him. I mean, actually, what we could do with was probably a Spider-Man by Peter David Volume 1. That could include his Amazing Spider-Man issues, his Web of Spider-Man issues. I actually been wanting a Peter David Spider-Man omnibus for quite a long time. So I think this is misbilled, and I think it's misbilled. I don't think it is by Peter David when it's that watered down and not by him. Indomitable Will, I have to confess, collections that are thematically based are a bit of a hard sell for me, because if there's a writer I like or an artist I like, fair enough. If it's a story I like, fair enough. If it's a consecutive run that I like, fair enough. But here it's, well, these are stories in which Peter Parker shows exceptional willpower. I'm like, are these stories really meant to go together? You've got clashing artists and writers in there, and do they really pair together? And also, was anybody really sitting around thinking, I'd like a collection where Peter Parker shows exceptional willpower? I appreciate the thought you've put into this, but I probably wouldn't buy this, because I'm like, I don't really need a collection of these particular stories with this theme. And Brand New Day does have its merits. I'm a bit on the fence about that one. I don't know. I have to think some more about this.
Okay. Curtis, thoughts on Aaron's choices?
I actually really enjoy Paul Jenkins' Spider-Man. I thought that, especially because this came on the heels of a run that I didn't like before that, and so this was a refreshing change. And I love Mark Buckingham. I think I agree with Lars. Having a collection, a thematic-based collection, is not my preference either. I would rather have you just taken what was the collection that came out that did collect this run? It collected in a thick trade. Bring that one back. Bring that one back in print, because there's a lot of great stories in there. And my favorite of the stories of the run is the one right after this one, is issue 33, I think, with a great Uncle Ben story. And I love that one, and you should have put it in here. But I mean, it doesn't meet your theme. I probably won't vote on this one because of the way that it's mapped out. But if it were an expanded Jenkins run, then it would have gotten there. I also will agree with Lars saying that the Peter David one is mislabeled. I think this is a great book to have. And does it need to be in print all the time? I don't know. But I do like these issues. Brand New Day, I think, is definitely on the list there. Fantastic jumping on point. Like it's built to be a new start for everybody. So yeah, this is a great entry point for everyone, and it still holds up. And I think, Light in the Darkness, Darkness Light, whatever it was called. Yeah, that's the collection. Yeah, that was a good one
for it.
I think Omar said it right. You have to distance yourself with this particular collection. You have to distance yourself from One More Day, and I think it gets a lot of flack because of the controversy that surrounded One More Day. But if you can read it on its own merit, it's actually very good. And so yeah, I think it could definitely be on the list.
Okay. OmniBeau, any thoughts on any of these?
So when it comes to Indomitable Will, I actually, I don't usually like collections like this, like Lars said, with other characters, because I don't like the whole thematic collection of that. However, with Peter Parker, I sort of do get it, man. I mean, I love what he's tried to do with this collection, and if it was a collection, I'd buy it. I want Peter Parker when he's happy collection, a Peter Parker when he's unhappy collection, a Peter Parker when he's hungry collection. I'll take any mood that Peter Parker's in collection. That's just me. So yeah, I do get it, and Peter Parker does have one of the best willpowers or morals of any character in comics, I'd like to think anyway. So I do get that, and I do appreciate it. Spectacular Spider-Man. Does that have Mad Dog Ward in it, or was that later?
That was later.
That was later, okay. Well, if what Lars is saying about the whole Peter David thing, well, then fair enough. It should probably have a different title. But I love this era. I think this era is just brilliant, and I love it. So I'm all down for that one. And Brand New Day, man, I don't know. Like, I know I sound like a man shaking his hand at clouds, but anything after one moment in time, I'm not the greatest fan of. So, I don't know. Maybe I need to read a few more years of Spider-Man again to be able to appreciate them and not be so angry like I have been for many, many years since one moment in time.
Give me one more day, because one moment in time is later.
Yeah, sorry. After the whole Mary Jane and him split, I was done.
You need to let it go, Bo.
I know, right?
Steven.
My therapist says that.
You're too young to be that angry. Steven, any thoughts on Aaron's choices?
So I know that deeply Paul Jenkins has done irreparable harm to both Omar and myself for what he did to poor Speedball in Civil War Frontline.
I wasn't even thinking about that, but good call. Good call.
He'll never be forgiven. There are some vital emotional beats in Paul Jenkins' run. I think if we want a focus on Peter being beat to the ground, whether it's by Dr. Octopus or Moreland, or even in Paul Jenkins' run by Typeface, then this is not the worst idea. I think this is a great collection, but I think not to toot my own horn, because I like JMS. Sorry, Peter. I would rather see those books in Coming Home, just because it has a consistent writer and to a certain extent a consistent artist. I agree with Curtis that I would love more so to see the previously mentioned thick trade paperback that kind of just came and went unnoticed come back into print. I'd like a Paul Jenkins omnibus, which I have mapped previously. So sorry, Aaron, this one is out. I think it's a great idea. I think it just is missing a pinch of salt, so to speak. Spectacular Spider-Man by Peter David. Were this to be specifically Peter David, then it would have my vote, because it does mesh with other creators, which isn't a bad thing. It doesn't have my vote, but as if we were to retitle it to something a little bit different, I don't know what the main thoroughfare story arc is in this span of issues, then it would have my vote. But Brand New Day, year one, 2 thumbs way up. It has my vote. I think at this point, the Brand New Day thicker trade paperback complete collections are out of print, even though the Omni is readily available and is reasonably affordable. A trade paperback is the preferred format for a lot of people. So this 100% does have my vote.
Okay.
I will just add to your slamming Dark Speedball that, I mean, my God, that is just a character odyssey worthy of Faust here. So I don't know.
Peter, thoughts on Aaron's?
So look, Indomitable Will, I really like the beginning of Aaron's pitch on it of Spider-Man has kind of like the willpower and the goodness equal to a Green Lantern, and let's show that. But then I don't know that I'm sold that this is actually the best issues to do that with, nor do I think the title is great, but I'm not one to quibble over titles when it comes to what we're voting for, as I'll get to on the next book. I just think like any book that's going to have that theme has to start out with him in the sewer with the thing on his back from, what is that, Amazing Spider-Man 32, 33? I feel like Curtis knows this. Yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like there's better examples of Peter having an indomitable will than these issues necessarily. So I really like the idea, but this is kind of just like kind of just feels like a filler collection to me and not an evergreen collection. However, I love these issues of Spectacular, and I haven't read them all, but like I know a lot of them from putting guides together because things happen in a lot of these issues that I've had to address in other guides. And as I was putting the slides together, I did reflect like, oh, hey, these are not all Peter David, but we, I didn't have time to reach out to Aaron and ask him about a name change, but I think this is a really good readable run. I think any run that's part of Black Suit tends to be something that like readers are curious about. They're like, wait, Peter's in the black suit, but he's not Venom. What is this? Like, I just think there's a little bit of a pull there. And it has, if I'm not mistaken, all of Jean DeWolf in it. And we kind of established earlier that like Jean DeWolf is a must-read story, but would it be better with a little bit more context? Would it be better if it could be marketed not just under that name? So I love Jean DeWolf, but I actually think this is the one. I think it's really fun to start reading this with issue 101. I think this whole book is a great read. I don't really care what it's called.
Rename it. Yeah. Like The Mighty Misadventures of Jean DeWolf.
Yeah, or like kind of like, I don't know. There's all sorts of good issue titles in here that we could call it like, I just think take Jean DeWolf's name out of the title is what I'm saying. But and then Brand New Day, yeah, it's just good Spider-Man comics. Like if we can just let go of all of our baggage of what comes immediately before or after it, because it's not like every issue of it is like referencing what just happened necessarily. Nobody's gonna know that when they buy this Evergreen comic book. They're just gonna know, damn, this is some fun Spider-Man. And like I personally, I just love all of Spider-Man from this all the way up to the beginning of Slot. And then I like Slot too, but I just think there's something really magical happening for that 100 issues. Somebody could have come in here with 3 choices all from this period and I would still vote for them because I just think Spider-Man was great. I just think I don't know that it ever got bad starting from here all the way to the beginning of Dan Slott. So definite vote for that. Vote for the middle one because I don't give a shit what it's called. It's great comics, and not a vote for the first one. I just think it could be, there's other issues it could include.
All right, now finally to the greatest list of them all, Omar's list. So I'm gonna let Lars take it. Lars, take it from the top.
I mean, Omar calls me the basic bitch, and then he picks Hobgoblin, Sinister Stick, and Venom. For pity's sake. Okay. All right. I really love the pick of Hobgoblin. Because
damn right you do. Go ahead.
That's sort of a casual Spider-Man reader. That's what I remember. The Hobgoblin saga was quite exciting. It had some wonderful art. It was intriguing. In a world where they were determined not to bring back the Green Goblin, it sort of brought back the Green Goblin, but had a different twist to it. It was a very exciting time. And that cover is just outrageously good. So absolutely yes. I will quibble with your mapping here a bit because
quibble away.
You really needed to include Amazing 289 needs to be in there. And well that is part of the story. Because by the way, I will tell you right now.
Well, if I did that, then I would have to go on and do Spider-Man versus Wolverine.
Well, I know. Well, maybe you do. Well, look, that is part of the story. It is. And here, I will tell you this right now. I respect you including Hobgoblin Lives. Hobgoblin Lives is crap. Hobgoblin Lives.
Wow.
No, here's the thing. Because the revelation, the first revelation of who the Hobgoblin was, it worked. I'm not saying it was the best thing ever, but it worked. And then years later, Roger Stern decides to come along and is like, well, here's who I really meant it to be. And then the revelation of that, it's like, I don't give a damn. I really, the person that he chose to be the Hobgoblin, I'm like, why do I, the reader, give a shit that it was that character? I thought it was a bad pick. I thought it was a bad pick for the Hobgoblin. The first one worked a lot better. It worked a lot better. So you have to include that as part of the story. It's part of the story, so you do. But yes, I will vote yes to this. Okay. Secret Six, I kind of have a hard time arguing with that one.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that one makes sense to. And yeah. No, congratulate yourself, Omar. I think your picks make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Oh, holy shit! Clip that, James. Okay.
Yeah.
Curtis, thoughts, buddy?
Three solid choices, solid picks. I like that you've just gone with a villain theme for all of them. I think we were just talking about how we don't really like theme books, but when you pick a character, I think that's different because you can yeah, we have. I know. I smell.
This is the meanest Curtis has ever been on an Evergreen.
I know. Yeah. This. I'm actually really surprised you didn't put Wolverine, the Spider-Man Wolverine story in here, just because try and shoehorn some X-Men in here somewhere.
I thought about it, but then that opens up like, well, how much of leads do I need to put in there, or do I just stick to Roger Stern?
I don't think you need to put any leads in there because the big reveal was literally out of nowhere, and there was no rhyme or reason why they picked that guy anyway. There's no hint for
what the first time.
Yeah.
Oh no! I have to politely disagree with you there because Peter David wrote that issue, and he said that when they were sitting around discussing who was going to be, they realized they'd been boxed in, and that so many clues had been dropped that it was that first pick. He's like, it cannot be anyone else. They had dropped so many clues to that point, so no, they were boxed in and had to go with that pick. It's Roger Stern's retcon that makes no sense.
Well, this era is coming up into the Epic collections very soon, so I haven't read all of it in its entirety ever. So I look forward to reading these here, and maybe this collection would be great for that. So I think that's good. The Sinister Six one is great, just because it's the two kind of classic stories with this team, and Venom is good too. It's hard to, I mean, they're all really great characters, so it's hard to not say. It's hard to say no to any of these. Could have put the Carnage story, the first Carnage story, in the Venom collection.
You know what? If I can't get it into Bo's book, I'll put it into my book. You got yourself a stew, buddy. OmniBeau, what do you think of these choices?
Well, I like them all, but you know, for a guy that does throw terms around like basic bitch, I'm very surprised at the titles that you've given these books.
I didn't give him any titles.
That's what I mean.
No imagination. I was going to be graded on like how well my title is going. Fine, I'll rename it.
It's part of the pitch, Omar.
I didn't know
you have the perfect option at, like, you know, the haunting of the Hobgoblin or the viciousness of Venom or whatever, and you've just gone Hobgoblin Venom.
Okay, fine. I'll rename them later.
I do like
Venom Volume 1.
Venom's long ass tongue. Volume 1.
I had a Venom option in my list as well, but you know, you can't choose everything. I went a little bit of an opposite route with you though, and that is I included more of the leading up to Venom and the costume and what it was doing to him, not necessarily Venom. But I do love every single one of these options. I would argue though that with the Sinister Six, would it be too much if you also put the Revenge of the Sinister Six with it as well?
It is. It's in there.
Oh, it's in there. Sorry. Okay. Well, then, yeah, that's great.
Steven, thoughts? Besides the titles. I apologize for that.
You don't necessarily have to have fancy schmancy titles. I like these collections. I'm glad that someone is bringing the Hobgoblin into this, because whether it's been Harry that's gotten all the attention or Norman, those are the goblins that we've been focusing on. That's why, as one of my other choices, I had a collection called Goblins from the Grave that focused on the return of Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin and the return of the Hobgoblin, starting with Hobgoblin Lives. I openly admit, Lars, that it is not the best retcon, but considering that they needed someone in the Hobgoblin role, and what was his name? Jason Mason-Dahl, by this point, was the Demon Goblin or the Cyborg Demon Goblin as a result of the Clone Saga and other stories. They needed someone to milk that title, that role for the character. So I'm in full support of there being a Hobgoblin-themed collection, whether that be Ned Leeds, as was eventually revealed, or Kingsley. As for the Sinister Six collection, I feel that if there is a definitive Sinister Six story outside of a separate focus on the characters in the Gauntlet, it is the return of the Sinister Six. It was my first exposure to Eric Larson's artwork. It was the first time that I really got to see, outside of the old black and white Essential collections, the Sinister Six do some damage. I think it's a great collection. Well done there. And as for Venom, I think even though he's gone back and forth across the line between good and bad, and I'm just going to tiptoe 1 foot on each side of the line between I love your brains or, oh, I love you, Spider-Man. This is a good collection. It gets us some of his initial conflicts with Spider-Man. It includes the Island issue and other Essential Venom stories. So I'm all hands on deck for all 3 of these collections.
Awesome. Peter, any more praise for me?
Well, I think that Hobgoblin one is a stone cold classic, and I think that again, I think sometimes we get too stuck on knowing too much insider information, and we're not thinking about how people would just appreciate these if they were to read them. Is that retcon the most elegant decision ever engineered by Marvel writers and editorial? No. Is it fun to have it all in one book so that it ends with the payoff, even if the payoff is imperfect, rather than just letting it kind of hang? Yeah, I think it's got a lot of great issues in it. And I think when we're talking about evergreen collections, what's coming out about me is I don't really mind if we have like a little tag on it with like an extra story or a modern story or whatever that makes the collection feel really satisfying. These are not epic collections. They're not omnibuses. They don't just have to be one sequential story. We can kind of take the pick and choose here. So I really like that one. The middle one, I'm kind of surprised everybody likes it. So this issue was one of the first comic book issues that I ever got. Amazing Spider-Man 330, what is that? I don't have my glasses on. 6 with the Vulture on the cover, which is in the middle of that story. And I thought it was okay. And I was like, oh, well, this is really interesting. Let me see where it started and where it came from. So then I got the rest of the issues and they're just so boring. The story nothing happens. I don't really think the Sinister Six is all that scary. I don't think it's the best Eric Larson art. Like, I always kind of thought that everybody thought that was a dud. It's one of those, and I guess this is a Crisis hot take, but it's just, I've never had the chance to talk about these 6 issues before in the history of my having read them back in, like, what was that, 1991, 92?
And you waited until tonight?
I've gone 35 years assuming everybody thought it was dumb. So I'm really happy you guys like it. There's no way to get me to vote for it. I think it was a waste of my hard-earned money as a child. And then Venom, as much as I also, much like Aaron, hate these skipping around, picking, choosing kind of things, having done a Venom guide and having gone through each of these issues to explain what he's doing in them, this really does work as a picking, choosing collection. Like, this has got the core of the beginning of Venom. Venom when he was scary. Venom was never this scary again after you could not put that genie back in the bottle. After Maximum Carnage, where he kind of cooperates with Spider-Man, Venom as Eddie Brock is never scary again. We've had some occasional scary Venom stories, but not in the way he was at the beginning. So yes, I think if there are 10 Spider-Man Evergreen books out there that you walk up to a bookshelf and have the choice of, because of the way Spider-Man has evolved across all media, you need the one book where Venom is scary. That's what I have to say.
Okay. Aaron, what do you think, buddy?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of with Crisis on this one. Hobgoblin is good to me. That one's solid. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I guess my only thing is, do you need more? Because, again, with these... Because the original issues you have, besides Hobgoblin Lives, were all collected in the Spider-Man Origins of the Hobgoblin trade paperback. Like, it's literally 1 for 1. Which isn't bad, but it's just interesting. And I wonder if you need more with it to kind of fill in the gap between that, like, issue 251 and then Hobgoblin Lives #1. Like, do you need 289? Do you need Spider-Man Wolverine? Do you need the subplot pages where you see kind of like...
I think by then, like, the book just starts getting fatter and fatter because there isn't really a stopping point. That was my issue. So I was like, well, I got to trim the fat. So I'd cut Spider-Man Wolverine, which is one of my favorite.
But I do get what Aaron's saying about like how much of the story is being left out here, because I seem to recall quite a bit happening after 251, but
Yeah, like there's little hints.
Yeah, but there's a recap in Hobgoblin Lives.
well, I
there is?
know, I know, but everyone keeps insisting more is better, and I don't know. It seems like leaving out quite a bit.
What? Leaving out quite a bit. This has the big chunk of the Hobgoblin. So anyway, go ahead, Aaron.
Well, this does have the big chunk of the Hobgoblin, but then you're missing out on like 275 and 276 and 278, where Flash Thompson was framed, and then you get the real Hobgoblin being like, "Why not?" And stuff like that. I don't know, stuff like that just kind of gives you, and of course the little subplots where you see Ned Leeds being shaded in the Hobgoblin colors and all that. I mean, just stuff like that where I'm like, I wonder if that could be added. But like you said, the book just gets fatter and fatter, so I'll move on from that. The Sinister Six one, yeah, it's a no from me.
Aaron.
I'm sorry, it's a no from me. I'm sorry because like I love Annual Number 1. I love it. It is one of my favorite single issues of Spider-Man that I've read. But the Return of the Sinister Six, it's always been a bit goofy to me because
But that's what comics are. It's supposed to be fun.
it is fun. Like Return is fun, and then so is Revenge. Revenge is just like
Revenge is ridiculous 90s fun.
Revenge gets into that where he's got a cyborg arm and all that. Like I'm like, okay,
Yes.
this is, and like Ghost Rider and all of them, the Fantastic Four show up with guns, and I'm like, what? But anyway, like I think Phil Owen said it in the chat that if this was just Annual Number 1, I would like it more. And I think I'm agreeing with that.
I will have one issue, please.
Phil Owens. You agree with Phil Owens?
One issue in hardcover, please.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I'm surprised with that too.
Aaron,
But,
you have an old soul, my friend.
I do. My mom used to call me Turtle. And then with Venom, I think that's actually a solid pick. I mean, that's a solid list. 300, 315 to 317, 332 to 333, 345 to 347. Yeah, the only thing you're missing is Carnage's first appearance, and that's it. I mean, like, because then you could have that book with Carnage's first appearance, or you could put that into the Maximum Carnage book, and then you just get the Epic Collection, which is Carnage's first epic. But yeah, I'm just like interesting. I like it. So 2 out of 3, not bad.
2 out of 3, not bad. Okay, now comes the fun part. We get to vote.
All right, folks, this is going to be rapid fire, and I'm looking for an unambiguous yes or no from each of you on each of these. And of course, when we come to one that's been straight up repeated, which has not always been the case, you will not need to revote. But if there's something that we've had some different versions of, like Kraven's Last Hunt, I will ask you each time. So we are starting with Lars's picks, which means we're going to start with Curtis. Curtis on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Yes for me, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Curtis on Kraven's Last Hunt.
No.
And Curtis on The Death of Jean DeWolf.
No.
Okay. Bo, I know I have some of yours, but let's just talk it out. Bo on Ultimate Spider-Man.
That is a negative.
Bo on Kraven's Last Hunt.
Yeah, you can't vote for your own, correct?
Everybody automatically votes for their own.
Yeah. Okay, so then yes, I vote for this one.
Okay. And Bo on Death of Jean DeWolf.
That is a no from me as well.
Okay, I have Sean's picks secretly, which will be revealed if they become relevant. Steven on Ultimate Spider-Man Learning Curve.
Yes to that, no to the other 2.
Ooh, okay, spicy. I am a begrudging yes to Ultimate Spider-Man, despite truly disliking it, because I think I was won over with the idea that it's a good origin story. I'm no to Kraven's Last Hunt because I'm going to be a yes to it later, and I'm a no on Death of Jean DeWolf because I'm going to be a yes to it later. Both spectacular stories, just think they're mapped differently by other people on the stream better. Aaron, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes.
Kraven's Last Hunt.
No.
And Death of Jean DeWolf.
No.
Okay, and Omar, Ultimate Spider-Man.
I actually agree with everything Peter has said on Lars's choices. So yes, no.
Okay. All right, now we move on to Curtis's picks. So we start with Lars. Lars on the abridged Superior Spider-Man.
A little awkward, but I guess I'm going to vote yes.
Lars on Amazing Spider-Man by Lee and Ditko.
No.
Ooh. And Lars on the controversial Spider-Man Blue Extended Edition.
Yes, it is. I love Spider-Man Blue so much, I will overcome my dislike of the extra material and vote yes.
Okay. Bo, Superior Spider-Man Abridged.
That is a no.
Bo, Lee and Ditko Amazing.
That is a yes.
And Bo, Spider-Man Blue.
That is a no.
Okay. Stevens, Abridged Superior Spider-Man.
Shoot, this is hard. I'll go yes on all three of these.
Ooh, a straight ballot pick for Curtis. I am also a yes on all three of Curtis's choices. Aaron, Superior Spider-Man Abridged.
No.
Lee and Ditko.
No.
Whew. And Spider-Man Blue.
Yes.
Okay, I thought we were going to have to declare war on Canada for a second there. Omar, Superior Spider-Man Abridged.
For the second time tonight, I am 100% agreeing with Peter. Yes, across the board.
I feel like this is some kind of trick that's going to come back to bite me later, but we'll get there when we get there.
It's going to be all no's for Peter.
Now we come to Bo's list. Lars, Bo with Craven's Hunt, The Child Within.
Bo, man, love you much, but I'm 3 no's.
Ooh.
Love you much, but
He's the assassin. Curtis, Craven's Hunt, The Child Within.
Yes.
Maximum Carnage.
Yes.
And Blood Brothers. Sorry, that was Scottish. I'll get to Australian eventually.
No. I think I'm going with the other mapping, even though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steven, Craven's Hunt, Child Within.
Yes, his mapping is better than mine. Maximum Carnage. Yes. Blood Brothers. Bo, brother from another mother. My brother in Scarlet Spider. No, sorry.
I am continuing to be in lockstep with Steven. I think the Craven's Hunt is a great map. Maximum Carnage, I'm voting on behalf of my child who loves it. And Blood Brothers, I am a no. Aaron, Craven's Hunt, The Child Within.
Yes.
Maximum Carnage.
No.
And Blood Brothers.
Whoa, Aaron.
No.
Aaron is a discerning Spider-Man fan, and we love
Aaron's
that here.
really
Omar, at the beginning we were afraid everybody's going to vote yes to everything. Omar, Craven's Hunt, The Child Within.
Yes, absolutely. That's good mapping too.
Maximum Carnage.
Yes.
And Blood Brothers.
You know what? It's got issue 400 in there. Yes.
Wait, that's the thin reed you're hanging it on?
The lead. Actually, those first few issues aren't bad. Yeah.
Would you like a single hardcover of just that one issue?
I will point out that we do not have one universal pick yet, which rarely ever happens.
How did that happen? All right, Sean's.
All right, now we come to Sean. Now, we've already voted on Ultimate Spider-Man in this exact configuration, so I'm not asking you again. And I'm just reminding everybody, I've deferred to this map of the Gauntlet, so we're not going to revote when we get to me. So, Lars on the Gauntlet.
Yes.
Lars on Life Story.
No.
Curtis on the Gauntlet.
Yes.
Curtis on Life Story.
No.
Oh,
Steven on the Gauntlet.
Yes.
Oh, no, I skipped Bo. Sorry. Bo on the Gauntlet.
No.
And Bo on Life Story.
No.
Okay. Steven on the Gauntlet.
Yes to both the Gauntlet and Life Story.
I continue to be in lockstep with my brother, Steven. I, of course, picked the Gauntlet, but Life Story, I think you're crazy for voting against. Aaron, the Gauntlet.
No.
And Aaron, Life Story.
Yes.
Ooh. Omar, the Gauntlet.
Third time tonight, baby. Yes to both.
Okay.
Nolan and Spider loves Life Story.
All right, so now we come to Steven's picks. Lars on Steven's map of The Child Within.
Well, no to that one.
Okay. Lars on JMS Coming Home.
I guess I'm going no on all three.
Ooh, okay.
What?
Curtis on this map of Child Within.
No.
Curtis on JMS Coming Home.
Yes.
And Curtis on Brothers in Arms.
Yes.
Okay.
Woo!
Bo
Ooh,
on
Child
this map of Child Within.
I'm going to go yes to all three of these.
Ooh, okay. I am a no on Child Within because I like Bo's map better. I'm a no on JMS because I'm a no on JMS, and I don't think we need Brothers in Arms to be Evergreen. Although I think this map is better. I'm also a no on that. Aaron, Child Within.
Sorry, Steven, but a no on all three.
Ooh, I think Omar might depart from his agreement with me here. Omar,
Yeah, totally.
Child Within.
How are you guys not voting for coming? No, Child Within. Bo's mapping is better. How are you guys not voting for Coming Home? That is legit a great Spider-Man story, and it's a good jumping on point. I can't believe this panel. And a no on Brothers in Arms. Sorry, Steve.
Okay. All right, now we come to my votes. Lars, Death of the Stacys.
Yes. Then yes. Then
We've already talked about Gauntlet, so Lars and Spider-Verse.
Yeah. I just don't know if the world needs to take Spider-Verse and drill it down to just Peter Parker, so I guess I'm going to vote no.
Okay. Curtis on Death of the Stacys.
Yes.
Curtis on Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Bo on Death of the Stacys.
Yes.
Bo on Spider-Verse.
No.
I love you, Bo. Steven on Death of the Stacys.
It's a yes for both.
Okay. Aaron on Death of the Stacys.
Yes.
And Aaron on Spider-Verse.
No.
Ooh. Omar on Death of the Stacys.
Yes.
Omar on Spider-Verse.
Yes.
I've secured
There it
the
is.
first universal pick of the show with Death of the Stacys.
Yep.
Well done.
Now we move on
Not
to
surprised.
Aaron's choices. Lars on Indomitable Will. One of my favorite words, by the way, Indomitable.
It is.
So fun
It
to
is.
say.
It is an excellent word, to which I will vote no.
Okay. Lars on Spectacular Spider-Man, maybe or maybe not by Peter David.
No, yeah, I'm just not convinced this run is. It's good. It's good, but fully evergreen. No, I'm gonna have to vote no.
Okay, and Brand New Day Year 1.
Brand New Day. I have to get a. I'm getting a little hazy on it. I can't quite remember. I guess I'll go no.
Okay. Curtis, Indomitable Will.
What?
No.
Curtis, Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes.
Curtis, Brand New Day Year 1.
Yes.
Bo, Indomitable Will.
Indomitably, yes.
Okay. Or even indubitably. Bo, Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes.
Bo, Brand New Day Year 1.
No.
Steven, Indomitable Will.
No to that. If we could retitle Spectacular Spider-Man, that's a yes, and it's a yes
Okay.
for Brand New Day.
Okay. I continue to be in lockstep with Steven. I'm a no on Indomitable Will for reasons stated. I think that Spectacular Run is a fun read, and absolutely yes to Brand New Day. Omar.
Fourth time tonight, I agree with Peter. Yes to the last two, no on the first one.
Wait. Yeah, okay. And Steven, by
Well, you
extension,
said,
who you're agreeing with. So now we come to our Summit on Omar's picks. Lars on Hobgoblin.
It's incomplete, but yes, I will vote yes.
Lars on Sinister Six.
I will vote no.
And Lars on Venom.
Peter did a great job of reminding me that I think we love the idea of that story more than the actual story.
Guys,
So-
comics are supposed to be fun.
Fun,
They are.
yes, but they also have to be good.
Go back and tell Preteen Crisis that they're
He
supposed to be
has
fun after they wasted their hard-earned money on those
arms.
issues. I'm sorry. No editorializing.
Adamantium arms and
Lars on Venom.
Yes.
Curtis on Hobgoblin.
Yes.
Curtis on Sinister Six.
Yes for all three of these. Yes for all three. Yes for all three.
Okay. Bo, Hobgoblin.
I was a yes for all three, but now I'm second guessing Sinister Six, man. I'm
no,
not
do
gonna
not
lie.
listen to Lars and Peter.
What is your official answer on Sinister Six, Bo?
Yeah,
Come on, Bo.
Yeah, no Sinister Six.
Bo,
Yes to the other.
the Hulk gets involved because he's looking for his.
Okay, Steven.
So stupid.
Hobgoblin.
As long as Omar's check clears, it's a yes on all three. No, I'm
My
just
man.
kidding. It's a yes on all three, period. These are all quintessential Spider-Man stories, especially Return of the Sinister Six, which does not get enough love in this day and age. It is pure
apparently.
90s fun.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Different ways.
I am a yes on Hobgoblin, although I do think people brought up some good points of what to add to it, but it's still a great book. I'm a no on Sinister Six, shaking my fist at you from the 90s, and I'm a yes on Venom. Aaron, Hobgoblin.
Yes.
Sinister Six.
No.
And Venom.
Yes.
Venom is our second Universal pick of the night, and Hobgoblin is our third Universal pick of the night. So, please talk amongst yourself while I tabulate the votes.
Okay. Let me remove that, and thank you all again for joining us tonight. These Evergreen streams are a lot of fun, and I know they take a lot of work. For Peter to put together the slideshow, and then for everybody else to do a lot of research behind the scenes. I'm assuming nobody's winging it tonight besides me. That everybody came prepared, ready to argue. I'm always ready to argue, so that's why I never prepare.
Yeah, Bo, 4 hours spent in your picks? My God, were there satanic rituals involved, or?
I took this extremely serious.
Apparently, yes.
You did, man. Yeah, you did. I like that. I like people that come in like completely.
I'm gonna
serious.
hang with you guys.
Like
if you're wondering why Ben Reilly's characterization has been so horrible, it's because Bo sacrificed it to some demon to prepare for this live stream.
Yeah.
All right, I need to ask for a tiebreak.
Readers, man. I gotta have these to read.
And this tiebreak is going to come exclusively from Aaron, because Aaron has voted no to 3 books that are currently tied. So I need to know. Actually, you know what? Omar is going to tiebreak because he voted yes to all these books. Yes, Omar, kick one of these books out of the final results.
Oh yeah, baby.
Are you ready?
Assholes voted no for mine. Go ahead.
Are you ready? You are kicking out one of Superior Spider-Man.
Oh.
Amazing by Lee and Ditko.
No.
Gauntlet. And Brand New Day.
Oh man.
Okay. Wait, one of the.
You're changing your vote to no on one of those, so we can have a top 10.
Oh shit, dude, that's a lot of pressure. But you know what? I said it earlier. I'd rather have Brand New Day than the Gauntlet. So, see you, Gauntlet.
You dog.
I'm stuck. I'm a man of my word. I said.
I almost went 3 for
Brand New
3,
Day.
Omar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna pick Stan Lee and Ditko. You know how many of these old dudes are gonna come after me if I pick Stan Lee and Ditko out of here?
They'll live much longer, so it's okay.
All right, let me just put this slide together, y'all.
What's that, Lars? What'd you say, Lars?
You seriously would consider?
No, they're probably asleep.
Okay, good. Yeah.
All the Silver Age readers. Oh man, yeah, I had to go. I mean, that was tough. Those are all solid picks. But yeah, I had to go with that one. I think most people probably would have kicked out Superior, but not me. I like that book, and I like the way Curtis talked me into his mapping. So
yeah, that was the real twist. After all the complaining about the mapping, you broke it for Curtis.
Phil, I was thinking of you, Phil.
Well, talking about the vintage of certain fans, I ordered off eBay the Legion of Superheroes companion. There was a companion book that was kind of, and I get it from eBay, and there's a handwritten note inside from the seller, and it says, "My dad really enjoyed this book, and I hope you do too."
Oh,
which was very heartwarming. It was very, very heartwarming.
And then you wrote back and said, "It's not near mint anymore."
No. They also indicated to me that his father was old and probably dead.
Okay.
But it was very touching.
I was hoping you would get a note that my dad really enjoyed this book, and I hope you eat a dick. That would have been an awesome twist.
Now he needs the money, so screw you.
I hated my dad. That's why I'm selling his old shit. Chat boat, New Warriors Forever. I think we will have a chat boat.
Actually, Omar, do you remember at Heroes Con that there was that one retailer who had like basically an entire collection of Marvel Masterworks, right? And they were going cheap.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that was because apparently a young woman walked in one day and she had a.
You told me the story, yeah.
Yeah, she had a carload of Marvel Masterworks, and she went to the retailer and said, what can you give me for this Marvel Masterworks? And apparently, like they were her father's, and he like abandoned the family. So now they were just like, okay, just sell off his crap. That's why I got him so cheap.
That's why you have to be kind, man.
Yeah.
While you're still here, you got to be kind.
Don't abandon your family. Don't abandon your family, then you can keep your comics.
I mean, if that's the lesson you get out of that story, sure.
That's the only lesson you learned there. Obviously,
like just being kind to each other. So
be kind to each other.
People don't trash your legacy. That kind of sucks, dude. When I worked at the comic book store, my boss, the owner of the store, that was one of his favorite things to do was like a woman that's been cheated on coming in and selling her husband or boyfriend stuff, a divorcee, or just like a mom getting rid of stuff while her son or daughter are away at college, right? And man, yeah, I'll never forget this. Like, I think he gave them enough money for a case of beer, and not even like good beer. And that's all they wanted. They were like, look, we just want some beer money. We're just honest with you. We don't know how much this stuff is worth. And it was like a bunch of like X-Men, old Claremont X-Men, John Byrne. I think the oldest issue they had was like 99, but it went all the way through like 178. And he gave them enough money for a beer. Like, and this was 1993. And I was like, wow, even back then, some of those issues were worth a lot of money. Like the first John Byrne.
Yeah, some of those were like $10, $20 issues at that time.
Absolutely.
So you were profiting off human misery is what I'm hearing.
Well, yeah, that's what most comic books
and still does, Lars.
And he never looked back.
Some of the best stories are because of human misery. Some of the best stories ever written are because of that. Yeah.
Spider-Man Blue.
Like Spider-Man Blue, thank you. Look, it wrecks OmniBeau, but most of us seem to love it.
No, it is very good.
No Black Costume Saga. We ain't got time for that. We got to make room for Venom. I thought about adding some issues of Black Costume. I'm like, you know what? Just jumping right in with Venom, I think is fine. All
right, Omar, let me just proof one time to make sure we didn't get any rogue picks in there, but I think we are just about ready to reveal our top 10 Spider-Man Evergreens.
Okay, you just let me know when you're ready, and I can refresh. And thank you all so much for watching. Hit that like button, please. It goes a long way for us here on the channel. And a big thank you again to my wonderful panel that has stuck around the entire time, except for one fallen soldier, but that's okay. We're not going to hold Sean accountable. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. But yeah, smash that like button, and then we'll have
go ahead and reload.
Chat vote. We'll have a chat vote. All right, here we go. Here are the top 10 Marvel Spider-Man Evergreen stories.
Let's go, baby.
We got the Death of the Stacys. The Hobgoblin will kick your ass. I decided to rename it to that. And Venom's big ass tongue licks Spider-Man. Naming it that.
Oh.
And Ultimate Spider Trash. Craven's Last Hunt with the Child Within, right? Is that the
yes?
Okay, good. Spider-Man Blue, the spite of fattening it up to raise the price. Lars fought that. The Spectacular Spider-Man with Peter David and others.
Okay, on this one, someone in the chat said we should title it Spider-Man Original Sin.
Ooh, I like it.
Okay.
I like that one too.
And then we have Superior Spider-Man, curated by Dan Slott and Curtis. Amazing Spider-Man by Lee and Ditko, the greatest hits. This one's for the old dudes. And Spider-Man Brand New Day. Just to remind you, one more day happened. Those are the top 10 Spider-Man stories in Evergreen. Now, we do have a chat vote. Peter, if you could tell me what the chat is going to be voting for, I will start the chat.
Okay, well, the chat vote will be voting for Gauntlet, which Omar so heartlessly kicked out of the top 10.
Well, which Gauntlet is it? Sean's choice, right?
Sean's map was the better map.
I'm just going to put the Gauntlet. What's the other
Gauntlet? Maximum Carnage, which only missed by one.
You guys are monsters. How'd you leave that out? All right.
Life Story, which only missed by one.
Also monsters. Okay. Is that it?
And JMS Coming Home, which only missed by one.
Holy crap. How did we not put that one in there? All right. Oh, these are good choices, man. All right, chat. Everybody can vote. Everybody watching right now, get your phones, refresh this, hit that like button while you're refreshing. I'm going to start the poll. I'm going to leave it up for about 5 minutes, including the people in the panel. We can also chime in and vote. So pick up your phone or however you're watching this. Right? I can vote. It should be up.
Ooh, I've never seen the poll shift that much in the first 20 votes. That was exciting.
Oh my goodness.
In the meantime, I'd like to apologise for making an enemy out of Lars today. That was not my intention.
It's okay. Our two nations,
always our intention.
Our two nations can still work together. It's all right.
And I also
I've heard that we're going to get a lot of additional Lars content. We're going to have the Sean and Lars podcast, which I cannot wait to make a guest appearance on. And then we're also going to have Bo and Lars do their Frankenstein video, which I didn't have any idea was both of your favorite books. But actually, I have a great. Hold on, I'm going to come back onto camera in a second. There, I think we've got to get you both a copy of this. George Best's Frankenstein, which I believe is largely unabridged, and maybe we need to have like an old reader, new reader Frankenstein.
I think so. Yes. A friend of mine did, honest to heaven, used to have a podcast called the Frankenstein Minute or something like that. And this is insane. He would literally analyze 1 minute of a Frankenstein film and then talk about it for an hour.
I love that. I love that kind of stuff.
With just 1 minute, that's awesome.
Don Quixote-esque suicidal maneuver. Yeah. So it's like, here's minute 1, and then the next episode, here's minute 2, the next episode, here's minute 3. It's like, Jesus God.
I've been on a podcast called the Marvel Movie Minute. I've been a couple times where they do exactly that. They go through every Marvel minute, 1 minute at a time, and so they get a different guest host for each episode. And so I've been a guest on 1 minute of Captain America and 1 minute of Thor. And I think one minute of something else. I can't remember now.
And how long was your discussion and analysis of that 1 minute?
It was about an hour. Yeah, each one of them was about an hour. Wow. It was and so to prepare for that, I have you have to find the most tangential things to talk about because you have to have content. But it was a lot of fun.
I would love to do that. I need to go. I got to see what movie they're up to.
I want to remind everybody to please vote. Your vote matters right now. If you're watching this live, if you're watching this afterwards, I'm so sorry. It still matters in our hearts. But the people watching live are the ones that are going to get to decide what book is going to make it on the Evergreen. And oh my gosh, there's a 3-way tie for second.
I've never seen us have a poll this close. It's so tight, and there's close to 100 more people that could still be voting on this right now.
Maybe they're trying to figure out how. And thank you so much, Patel, for the super chat. Omar, today at the all-you-can-eat buffet, I said to myself, with great power comes great responsibility as I crushed 10 plates of chicken fried rice.
True, it's true.
That was showing some restraint, my friend, because you could have easily done 15 plates. 3-way tie for second, but nobody remembers second, right? I was on your stream, left to do my show on my stream, finished that, and you're still live. Why aren't you joining us then, Sean?
He's got his piano recital now. Come
this
on.
is bullshit. I couldn't give him crap when he was like not here. I could just be like, well, that was a good choice, I guess.
Sean,
So
Omar
you're-
betrayed us
Peter.
on the gauntlet. Betrayal.
Not.
Peter, I have a question.
Yes.
Would the Clone Saga book would it have made the top 10 if the votes weren't split among the two of them?
Interesting question. Let me see if we had enough
That's an affirmative.
variance
All right.
between
Yeah,
the
Sean's
two of
coming
them.
back.
Make me vote for the
What
clone.
a trooper. He's coming back. I can't believe is Carnage really ahead? How many more minutes did I say we're gonna have?
It is, but the lead is shrinking rapidly.
No, Curtis, it would have only picked up one more vote if they were combined.
He said,
Still
Travis,
soundly beating
All
the
right,
Sinister
I'm gonna
Six.
leave it. I'm gonna again leave it up for 2 more minutes. This is very close. Your vote matters, people. Go get your granny. Tell her to jump on and vote.
Oh my gosh, it might end in a tie. This is crazy.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
God, everything died.
Whoa.
What? No, Maximum Carnage is still ahead.
Yeah, Maximum
I mean,
Carnage got a couple more.
Two of
votes.
my books might make it.
People keep voting. I'm gonna leave it open a little bit and reintroduce everybody to Sean from the Comics Pal.
Yes.
What did I miss? What happened here? What happened here?
Well, you missed actual votes for the Clone Saga books, both of them, and Omar got a lot of affirmation for his character-driven books as well.
Yeah, they were great.
He missed a
Except
lot.
people kept making fun of my names for the books, but that's okay. I learned that there's a Hungarian version of a Frankenstein book that you and I think Lars are going to be reading on your road trip to wherever the hell you two are going.
Have we on this channel discussed the Icelandic version of Dracula?
No.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah,
Because it's always daytime there or something?
yeah, it's true. No, there is an honest to God. It's from 1902. It's a.
Oh my God! Of course you know this.
May or may not be an official, licensing thing, but yeah, there was an Icelandic release of Dracula. Although they made it even more lurid and called it Powers of Darkness. It feels like an early attempt at fanfic. It's like, oh well, let's take Dracula but give it more boobs.
Wait,
I
you
call it
had
Powers
me.
of Darkness.
You had me at more boobs. What? I don't really pay attention. I'll be honest with you. When Lars starts
Like
talking,
blah
'cause
blah blah.
he's kind of like TED Talks. But every once in a while, he'll use these like words that I'm like, oh, I know those, and it kind of wakes me up out of my coma. I'm like, oh, I'm familiar with
That's
those.
understandable.
Hold on.
I'll try to randomly insert the word boobs now into most of my
To
analysis.
keep me awake.
To jolt you out of your stupor.
You already do that, Lars.
Let me show you this new dinner table I bought with lots of boobs.
I have
Yeah.
to confess that occasionally, if I knew the professor in college papers, I would randomly include the word penis just to see if he was paying attention and actually reading my papers. And most of the time, they would blow right past it.
And that's why
These days, college professors have to check for AI-generated copy. Back in the day, Lars's version of saying that he was a real person and not machine was just saying penis a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, strategically.
All right,
Yeah.
I am leaving it open just one more minute. You got 1 minute to
Oh,
vote.
that's right. Yes, and then there was when I was getting a teaching license and I was writing these reports. I would go to friends and say, give me a challenge me to include a certain word, and they would give me words to include. And then one friend went masturbatory fantasy, and I'm like, okay. And I found a way of including that. I was very proud, and the professor said nothing.
Well, I mean, that's one way to play the Pee Wee Herman game of
Yes.
a secret word.
it's like when my teacher yelled at me.
Or
Like,
masturbatory
Which
fantasies, as the
game
case
is
may
he
be.
playing?
Yeah. All right. I think we've had a solid leader for the past couple of minutes. I think.
Oh, ending the poll, everybody. Thank you so much for voting. And the winner is.
Hold on.
actually,
I got to
I'm
put it on the slide.
Okay. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. Sean, what did you go do while you were gone?
I was live streaming on my channel, the Comics Pals. We had 7
I
books.
said a live stream, and then you came back to this. That's how long we've been on. Oh my
Yes,
god!
we reviewed 7 of this week's comics releases while you guys have been doing this.
You
And
sound
which
like
one of those
we're not
releases
kids.
was your favorite?
While you guys were playing, we were reviewing books like real adults.
Yeah.
My
And Curtis said you were dishy. So
dishy.
yeah.
Hold on. Wait a second. That is not how I remember that.
You did.
I already told you all I'm going to listen to everything, so we might as well tell the truth now.
Yo, what you should have done is go back to your show and had a live stream reacting to how stupid this live stream is and making fun of us, trolling us.
That would be hilarious if he was live streaming about how bad our live stream was during our live stream that he left to do his live. That would be good. That's content. Yeah.
All right. Your choice. The people voting, not the people watching later. The people that voted watching live voted for Maximum Carnage. You guys can't get enough of those symbiotes. No JMS. What were the other ones? It was like the Gauntlet and
Crisis, what happened to the Gauntlet?
Omar did us dirty, Sean.
I am a man of my word. What did I say at the beginning? If I had a choice between the Brand New Day and the Gauntlet, I did say yes to the Gauntlet. I voted yes to Gauntlet.
Omar had voted yes to a 4-way tie, and he had to kick out one so he could have a top 10.
Omar
and he kicked out the Gauntlet.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I did what?
You had voted yes to the 4 books that were in a 4-way tie for the last 3 spots.
No, I got that part. I was trying to understand what Lars was saying. I did what to Sean?
Shivved.
Oh, you
shivved.
Wow, that's really dramatic. I did not.
You shivved me. Right,
you
got to be careful
with those prison terms.
He discovered that the collection of the Gauntlet is the perfect size if you hollow it out in which to hide a shiv, and then he took it out and stabbed you with it.
Should have been the Gauntlet. Shed alone. Tyler really likes the Gauntlet.
It's good.
Well, you should have been on tonight.
You and me both, Tyler. Breaks my heart.
You got to chuck.
And that's it, everybody. That is our Spider-Man Evergreen stream. I want to thank the wonderful panel that was here tonight without missing a beat, with one exception that had to leave for a little while. And that's okay. He had another show to do, but the man came back. So
I should have left and had dinner. I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
You probably could have when Peter and
game.
Who was arguing? It was like Peter and OmniBeau. Somebody, Lars and OmniBeau were arguing. You could have had dinner.
Oh, I got it here.
Friendly fashion, but no, right before we went live, mine was me stuffing my face. It's because you got a pregame for these things
with food, right?
Yes, with food.
What is the next?
It was ground turkey and quinoa, if you must know, and asparagus.
I wasn't gonna. What is the next Evergreen? Maybe something horror centric. I kind of like that. We've been kind of thinking about that.
With his avatar, I want to see what this picture is.
It's the Dark
Matt.
Claw.
No,
Matt?
Amalgam. No.
Oh my god.
That's me and Omar.
Let me put my readers on. That looks awful.
Someone in the chat did want us to include trouble on an Evergreen stream.
Why did I look at that? So yeah, we'll decide and I'll announce it. So it'll be sometime in October, and these are a lot of fun, and I'll try to plan it way ahead of time. Now I'm gonna let my panel tell you a little bit about themselves as we exit out. Norwegian Assassin,
yes.
You go first. Where can people find you? What do you do?
Lars Pearson, publisher and editor-in-chief of Mad Norwegian Press. You can find us at www.madnorwegian.com. I have just moved, and I hope to soon throw together a moving day sale so as to reduce the amount of inventory that I have to worry about. But I've not quite gotten there yet. So, yes, we publish numerous books on Doctor Who, including Lance Parkin and I co-write A History, which is the definitive Doctor Who timeline.
Okay. And of course, thank you to James for always putting the links. Curtis, where can people find you, my buddy?
Well, tomorrow morning you can find me at Dom of X for Finest Fridays, where we go over the past month's worth of DC Finest books, including The Spectre, Horror, and Batman, Red Skies. So that's where I'll be, over on Dom of X.
Panelists, and we can only choose one.
That's crazy. I got my list.
Dude, I don't even know if I'll make it on that list.
Who's Ever Brown? Who's an Ever Brown panelist?
Easy now. That can get.
This is just you and me, Sean.
Hey,
Wow.
I'll mess with you.
I'm keeping
mess with
tabs
you.
on who's laughing. All right. OmniBeau, where can people find you, buddy?
People can find me on Aussieverse on YouTube and Aussieverse all over other social media. But I also want to shout out the Comic Book Community Awards are still going for another week or so, where you can vote for Omar, you can vote for me, but the more important vote that people should be voting for is Mr. James Abel as getting the Blue Wrench vote. That guy deserves his own trophy, and he's in the finals. So even if you don't like me and you don't like Omar, go and vote for James in the awards. But seriously, vote for Aussieverse too.
Okay. And thank you. There's the link for that. Thank you. So go and vote if you haven't voted. My buddy Aaron, where can people find you wherever you're hanging out?
Well, you can find me at the OmniBuds Cafe Facebook group. You can also find me on the Epic Collection Facebook group. Curtis should know what that is. And you can find me there for the Cobbs Web, where I post about Spider-Man and Spider-Man affiliated titles. And I just want to say it was good to be here, and I'm grateful.
Happy to have you, buddy. Sean, where can people find you, my friend?
Well, as always, thank you for having me. I do feel like me having to leave prematurely affected the voting on my books.
It did. We were bereft without you.
Yeah, we were like, I would vote for the gauntlet if Sean.
First, we had to get over the sobbing. I mean, just the lack of your presence, and then
thank you, Lars. I appreciate it, and I will actually cry tonight about you and not being able to hear your voice throughout the night.
Like you play this on a loop.
I may. I actually do listen to things to go to sleep, and so I may choose the.
If anybody can put you to sleep, it's got to be Lars.
Yes, Lars Pearson.
It's true. I have to randomly insert the word boobs, so Omar.
Hey now.
I want to create a compilation video that is only the tales of Lars throughout
Lars lore.
Evergreen. Lars, Crisis.
Oh God.
Crisis. Lars lore. That's it.
Look, it's been an interesting life. I mean,
anyway,
I thought this was everyone's goal. I don't understand people who don't have interesting lives. Anyway, continue.
I'm Sean from the Comics Pals. Thank you for having me. You can catch us live Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing a Justice League tier list. We will be joined by BJ Kicks of Comics Are Dope. I know that interferes with this channel's live timeline, so watch us later if you want. It's going to be fun. Hope to see you there. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy you were here, man. And DBZ All-Star, where can people find you, buddy?
So, first of all, if you need to listen to Lars, maybe he can use his sultry voice to read Frankenstein to you. Lull you off to sleep. I am on
the original version.
I am on YouTube as DBZ All-Star. I'm #1 Animaniac on all other social media platforms outside of Facebook, including Twitter. I refuse to call it X. On Facebook, I am the affirmation administrator for the OmniBuds Cafe. So if you're having a rough day and you need to feel loved, valued, supported, and uplifted, by all means, feel free to send me a message through there. You can connect to my personal Facebook because I appreciate all of y'all out there. You make our community grow brighter and stronger just by your mere presence.
I do have to say, Steven is one of the most positive, wonderful people out on the internet. I've never heard him say anything bad about anybody to their face. Peter.
Until this stream.
Just myself worse than everyone.
I do have to say a couple things before I talk about me. First of all, this is truly a group of people I truly, truly adore and appreciate. And it's just so fun to get to do it with this group. Aaron, it's so great to be on a video with you. Steve, DBZ All-Star, who truly was the All-Star of getting the Spider-Man stuff mapped for this year's Tiger Eyes poll. I cannot say it enough times. So awesome to finally have him on an Evergreen. And so many of my longtime friends, Bo, Sean, Curtis, and Lars. You know, I absolutely adore the four of you. So have to say that. I am Crisis with a K. I can be found throughout the internet at Crisis, but also at crushingcrisis.com, which has been my blog for over 25 years with over 15 years of guides to Marvel, DC, and the independent universe. And then also Crushing Crisis on YouTube, where this past Monday I did a live stream about this length with my top 100 books in my to-be-read pile, and you will be surprised at some of the things I have not read. And one of those books in that stack is Brand New Day. So until I appear here next, it has been a lovely, lovely time, and I cannot wait to put my fists up and have the next Evergreen debate.
Oh, and I can't wait for that either. I'm late. Damn, can you start over?
Just loop it. Just gotta loop it.
I'm ready. I'm ready, man. Let's do it. I'm ready. Round 2.
It's not going to change my mind.
Who's got a Venom shirt? Who invited, bro? I am the Uncanny Omar. You are watching Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. I have a video coming out every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. I hope you're not tired of my voice. It's nice to be back home, by the way, after my travels in Europe, which I need to have that video out. So I'll probably be dropping those videos starting on Sunday. It was a lot of fun. But I'm just glad to be back with my people and talking to you, find people on the chat. Thank you to James for all the links for everybody's channels and websites, except for Lars, who does not want to be found. And Patreon. Oh, yeah, we do have a Patreon. Thank you so much for that, James. You left, didn't even notice. All right. Is this my wife with another account? But that's it, everybody. Thank you for watching. Smash that like button on the way out. If you're watching this later, hit that like button. And we are out of here. Have a good night. Good morning.